books at once.
I know, it's actually, it's almost okay. Hey, thanks. Okay. So, Jan and I started working together doing human design and belief processing in December. And then she was like my first client at the Living Well Center here. And then we kind of became friends, and she took my artist way class, and we ended up going to Mount Shasta together. And that's where this class starts.
Because I had never heard of Lemuria or Lemurians before then. But once we got there, I don't know how else to explain it. My explanation is it's magical, mystical, because evidently I have soul family there. And it was just like a magnet.
Basically, we just went to Mount Shasta because we had the...
because I got a new car.
And we were talking about it. I had gone before with somebody else, and then we went there, and we, like, had all these great experiences, right? And we went over how to talk to guides and stuff, which is another class I'm doing on Wednesday, actually. We're teaching on Wednesday about that. And so Jan had all these great experiences, too, and then we went to the bookstore and ran into this book. And our experience with this book was, like...
We both grabbed at it at the same time.
And we're both like, whoa, somebody has to buy that book. And this was after we'd already bought a whole bunch of stuff, so we were a little bit like, wow, we have no money, but we have to buy that book.
I think there's one more person coming, so don't let me know.
I'm sure there is. There's like a lot of people signed up on Meetup, but yeah, we're just started anyway. If we don't have, here we'll put the email address over here. So So, I have a whole bunch of degrees, you know, but we're not here to do that, really. We're here to talk about our experience to you guys. This whole thing is just because we want people to know about it, because of our experience with the books. When we read the books, we actually, like, felt our vibration increasing just reading the books. So, and, yeah, super, like just as much as learning my meditation technique I learned, or, like, the belief processing that I've done a lot of stuff, so it's right up there with the other stuff, because reading those 3 books. And this tonight, we went over stuff yesterday for 6 hours, and we realized, we would love your email address, and you can sit in one of these 2 chairs, I guess, if you don't mind. And maybe somebody can just grab a card for her. So, we went over stuff in the books for 6 hours yesterday, and we realized we can only talk about the first book, you guys. So, because we don't have enough time, honestly, there's so much information. So, so we're going to do a couple other classes, and afterwards, if you enjoyed this and you want more, you can tell us even like what times are good for you, and we'll even consider that as far as our next classes. And in the future, I'm decided to get that awesome 7 Sacred Flames book right there that Jan's got.
I have it with me.
And
isn't it awesome?
It's like, it's a secret
society.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's like
so,
after the 3 volumes, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, so you get kind of addicted, actually. It's a really good feeling level. And the 7 Sacred Flames, I was going to start some classes on doing meditations on that they hand out in those books for that later. So we will do 2 more classes about the 2 other books, and then we will do that. But and we intend to possibly have like groups that do the stuff that they're talking about in the books too in the future, because we got so much out of it. So, do you want to start, Jean, about the beginning? Not Shasta. Let's go to the beginning.
Okay, so what happened was there were 2 huge continents. There was Lemuria and there was Atlantis.
Right.
And actually, the Lemurians came here 4,500,000 years ago, which is contrary to a lot of scientific history that we know. But and then it was a utopia, like you hear Adam and Eve in the Bible, where everything was in harmony, everything was perfect, and then the Atlanteans decided, instead of going to their heart, to go to their mind, and instead of working with God, to go to their mind, because they thought they could do things better. So, and they also wanted to rule over all the other cultures, and so the Lemurians
Didn't agree.
And the Atlanteans started warring with them, and the world was going to end. So it was like 300 years before the world was going to end. The Lemurians had gone to, what was it,
Shambhala.
Shambhala, the inner Earth network.
Yeah.
You got that.
Got with me as well.
Awesome. I would love to see it.
She's
a library.
Agartha, this is really good.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have that one yet.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's really good.
They had to petition them to be able to build an inner city inside the earth so that they could have survivors and they could preserve their culture. So
Because they were part of warring cultures at the
Right.
time. So the people that lived inside the Earth were already in 5th and higher dimensions.
because it was the third, well, before all this warring happened, they could go between the third dimension and the fifth dimension easily. And we're in the third dimension, but we need to raise our vibrations up to the fourth and fifth dimension as well, because we are
Right.
at the end time pretty much.
I feel like we're being confusing. So
Oh,
let's
okay.
try to
So-
make sure
okay,
we're
we
really like explaining everything. So when we ran into this book in Mount Shasta, we started reading the book. Okay, this is all information we're giving you is mostly from this book, but we have confirmed it with various sources on the internet and on different places too. Actually, so there's a lot of people that are into this, and there's a lot of people that have channeled and done all sorts of, past life regression stuff as far as this subject. So. We're not doing this as like you should believe us or anything like that. It's just we're just sharing what we experienced, and if you get something out of it, awesome. And you don't have to believe everything, okay? So especially because there's a lot of stuff, and if you're not like already, if you haven't already been living in this kind of new paradigm like me for the last 10 years, you might be a little bit like, wow,
Yeah, that's true. I kinda
they go into dragons and stuff like that, unicorns. So, but Jen's just got a lot of enthusiasm. So it's awesome. So when you go to Mount Shasta, though, a lot of healers are attracted there. There's a reason, right? Like where there's a lot of people that feel different things there. Okay. There's apparently, according to a lot of people, there's different stuff going on in different dimensions there. So it's considered a mystical power source for the Earth. There's all sorts of, there's like supposedly a city of light up above it, inside of it, and something going on underneath it. So there's like a lot of stuff happening. And our experience was just that it was easier for us to listen to our guides and kind of have spiritual experiences there. That's basically it. Okay, so this whole story kind of starts 4,500,000 BC. So the way that they were explaining it, as far as everything being perfect, is just that people were still at one with each other and with God, and a lot of us, if we do things like past life regression or maybe not even doing that, there's been different hypnosis things and where people have memories of stuff. So it's kind of too widespread to be just like somebody's imagination. And actually, Lemurians explain a whole bunch of stuff, including imagination, which I liked. Imagination does not exist, they said. Imagination is all real memories. So anything that you can imagine is something that you've actually experienced before.
That's like,
That's one of my favorite pieces. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, it's really a paradigm shift for most people.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is we don't expect people to go right into that right away. We're just sharing our happy funness about it. And the thing is, like, everything that that we experience in those books is like, wow, you just connected this thing that I knew with something that I didn't know, or you just connected these two things I knew and I didn't realize that they went together. That was the experience that we were having all the time because
Connecting with that.
it was just very clear, like the way that they wrote it. And actually, come on in.
There's a chair.
And yeah, there's a chair right there, and we just would love your email address.
Okay.
And Sharon back here has read the book too, the first book, so she had a lot of those same experiences too. So we just wanted to go over the first book generally because we'd love to go into this. The second and third book are actually more intense and more more of a experience. I felt like each book got a little bit more extreme actually in terms of vibration raising and really getting to the depth of stuff. So when you get to that stuff, you know, I mean, probably our next class we're not going to do it for $4 because we spent 6 hours preparing for this class. But we're also going to be talking more about belief and emotional stuff in the second two classes too, because that's what they go into a lot in those, and they go into the 7 flames more, which is a really powerful technique. Okay, so we basically, they say this more than once, and this is the part where my boyfriend was like, you shouldn't believe everything you read. That people, including Archangel Michael and a bunch of blue flame beings, escorted what became Lemurians from a planet Mu in the Doll universe to what is now Earth at this long, long time ago date. So, but like I said, it doesn't really matter if you believe that stuff, right? So now, when we're going to, okay, so they really clearly showed in the book, it's so, like, clear and just beautiful, the way that they describe that, you know, if you lose your trust or your faith in God, or your creator, your source, whatever you want to call it, then you start going into this whole, like, he's not going to provide for us, we're not going to have money, we're not going to have food, and we better fight other people for resources. So that was basically, it was very simple, you know, and everything was provided before that. So there was a fallen consciousness that was kind of, I guess the way they would say it is probably, but it was a little bit pre-planned because it was an experience that we all decided to have, you know.
Because of free will.
Yeah.
We were given free will, which other things, you know.
Right. Yes.
So it was an experiment.
Yes. Good point. So, okay. So the fall, when we say the fall, that's what we mean is this kind of like fall in trust or fall in faith, which created a war situation. And that was mostly the Atlanteans against the Lemurians, I think, but there were other cultures on Earth at the time. And the Atlanteans wanted to exploit them, I guess. Basically, the Atlanteans write these great chapters in these books where the first book or the second book, they ask for forgiveness, actually. Because a lot of us have these memories in there and they need to be healed. And then the next chapter in the third book, so awesome because it's like, you know what, guys? We're now, like, we're just the same as Lemurians now. There's no difference. So this is how we healed ourselves, and this is why we were messed up, and the same stuff is happening now. Okay, the reason why they were messed up is they put their mind above their heart, basically. That's making it really simple. And once you decide to go with technology more than people, connection with people, then you know, everything just slides downhill from there, right? And they have healed all their wounds in the last 12,000 years. They've healed all their wounds and gone to the higher dimensions because they dealt with their feelings. And that's one of my big things. That's one of the reasons I'm here, is to talk about feelings. So I was like, the Atlantean chapter is like one of my favorites because it was like, yep, those feelings, nope, right there, those feelings, nope, those feelings you're not talking about right now. So you're not thinking about, that you're trying not to think about. Okay, so they used crystal sound. Okay, so the Atlanteans had like a bunch of crystal energy technology, basically, that is now. They're telling us now that we're going to start using it again, but it's been. It was kind of like taken away from us in a certain sense for a long time because we obviously did not use it well. There was actually nuclear fallout. Like that was the result because the dark matter was played with, which is something that people are doing now, by the way, in laboratories. So it's kind of like, but they don't think that we're going to go the same way anymore because it's kind of the scales have already tipped into, positively. So we're not really like necessarily going to blow ourselves up. Okay, so they had to. You want to talk about how they moved in the mountain, Jan, or do we?
Well, so for 300 years before the fall, they were warned. So they used the crystals, the sound, and the vibrations, and everything to hollow out their city, and they manifested like their homes and things like that, and they have different levels. I'll talk about that.
The cities. Let's not go.
Okay.
Into
So
okay, so they went to a higher. They already knew how to go to a higher dimension because they'd already been a fifth dimensional civilization.
but they went into the fourth, and then they went into the fifth.
Right. So when they went inside the mountain, it's not like if we, got a shovel and went into Mount Shasta, that we'd necessarily find them. But they are saying that that's our destiny now, is to start ascending into higher dimensions. That's where we get a lot of stuff gets down weird, guys.
Not at all.
Not to some of us.
Not at all.
Some of us it will.
And other civilizations as well, like the Incas, and there's Native Americans that
Went into higher
as a
dimensions.
whole tribe or as a whole culture or civilization also went underground.
Yeah.
In mass. So that's why when you read about some of these cultures that completely disappeared off the face of the earth, they went to the higher dimension.
Yeah.
So when you're saying they went underground, you're referring to like them leaving their physical form.
No, they did not die. Nobody found their bodies.
That's not what I'm saying. Like
Oh.
their physical form left this plane of existence and went to a different one. So it's not technically like underground. It's just in a dimension that we can't like perceive.
They say it's underground also, like that they are also underground because even though they're in another dimension, I think they would still be kind of affected by us if they were on the surface. Maybe that was my feeling.
Is the fifth dimension, is that where like your physical form as well as your like mental, your soul like leaves this dimension? Is that what that is? Or is
Well, they're still in physical form.
They say they still have physical bodies.
yeah, but I'm saying like when they enter the fifth dimension, their physical form goes with their like they physically and mentally leave this plane of existence.
Yes.
And like the fourth dimension would just be mentally leaving this plane of existence.
The fourth dimension they say is like where you get like the fairies, dwarves, hobbits, and devas, like the elves, that kind of like spirits that are associated with the third dimension but are not seen to us usually. Like when we go into the forest, we might be able to sense fairies, which if you want to come to my class on Wednesday, I'll teach you how to do that. But we're not going to see them usually, right? So because they're in the fourth dimension. We don't understand all of this dimensional stuff either, but we know that what they told us in the books, which is that in the fifth dimension things get more like
they're lighter.
Yeah.
They're like their
bodies
not
are
as
less
dense as
physically
we are.
dense.
They don't need to eat like we do.
And
I mean,
the higher
they eat like
frequency.
yeah.
Yes.
The frequency is much higher.
Yeah.
The more
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about sound. That's
Yeah.
where it comes down to. Is if sound creates vibration that creates atoms, electrons, then that different frequencies are going to create different
But they do describe themselves as being in human form. They're
They can.
tall.
Yeah.
Like they're tall, they're broad-shouldered, they're...
Yeah.
They can make themselves seen or not seen
Yeah.
at will. So,
Right.
And you can see them if you want. Like, we all have that capability to see or hear or feel. It's just what we're used to. On the third dimension, you're used to not connecting in those ways. You're connecting mentally and seeing on the physical plane, right? But you can
Right.
do it any way you want. But as you go up in dimension, you're
Right. And that's why, that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm teaching that class on Wednesday about connecting to other dimensions. Because you can connect to other dimensions now.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a practice thing. Like, it gets easier the more that you do it. And the more that you trust yourself, because it requires a lot of using intuition and everything.
And animals that have become extinct as well are in these other dimensions. They didn't just leave the face of the earth.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them that are in other dimensions too. So they're not really extinct.
So,
We just can't
yeah,
see
it's
them
like going.
because we abuse them.
It's leaving. Like you have to leave your physical form and be reborn through the earth.
No.
Like
No.
isn't
They
that
just
They
went.
took their physical form.
Yeah.
so? Like, the animals that are extinct, they.
It'd be like they disappeared to us if we were
We
just in
can't
third
see them.
dimensional.
But
Okay.
isn't that extinction like just the dying off of that breed?
In some cases, probably, but they claim that some of the extinct animals are actually in higher dimensions. Like that they kind of went out and said that they could, like they kind of invited them to come to the fifth dimension, and that they
So it's like
do that.
Mozart sort of thing.
And in the fifth dimension, they're vegetarians. Like lambs can live with lions. They don't kill each other.
Oh yeah, they go on this whole. There's at least a whole chapter in this book about the animals, and there's some more about animals later because they really have a thing about us mistreating animals. So
And like dragons.
yeah, let's.
let's
Jen-
not go to the
Jen
really
likes to
crazy stuff.
skip to everything at once.
Can you just give a little background of the author, like where all this information is
Okay.
coming from?
Thank you. Yes, I like to start at the beginning and tell a story. But so Aurelia Louise Jones lived in Montana. She had some already experiences going on with these people, like just like how I would teach people at my class on Wednesday how to connect to other dimensions. Some people are born with that ability, right, and they're already doing it, or they just. It's not that different from us, you guys. Like, it's not like we don't have it and they have it. It's not like that. It's just we were born with people who didn't believe in it, so we thought that it wasn't something we could do. So anyway, she had a bunch of these experiences. She ended up moving to Mount Shasta because they told her to, and then she wrote these books, and she did a bunch of groups and stuff, and she ended up traveling all over the world and creating all of this whole network of people that believe in this stuff all over the world. So there's like Telos, France, and Canada, and all these, countries.
So those are like civilizations that the Lemurians have.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yeah.
The Telos.
Oh, right.
Telos is a
So
town.
Telos is the city inside Mount Shasta. That's your good key information. Yeah. So
And then she channels more than one person or
she channeled
entity.
a lot of Adama and Anmar, who she said she felt she had a soul connection to, but there were other people too. A dragon and some other. So the thing is, like, we're gonna get into the dragons right away with Jen. She even brought her little dragon. Where's the dragon?
It's in my little bag.
Oh, you didn't print it out for
No.
people to see.
I'll have to
Go
put
get
it.
your dragon. Okay. So this is the thing. A lot of people actually have heard that a lot of people have actually had this experience where they were told to move to Mount Shasta. I've heard that from more than just this woman. She actually did leave her body in 2008 or something. Or 2009. She died. Yeah. And that might have been because she was done with whatever she was doing. I don't know. But now other people channel those same people, actually. And there's a whole Telos channel online. There's a bunch of stuff online. If you want to check it out, you can see a lot of stuff. You can confirm a lot of what we're saying, and if you want to believe that it's confirmed by other people believing it, because there's definitely a lot of other people who believe it.
I just want to say one thing. Don't think about what other people think. Think about what feels right in your heart.
Exactly.
If you believe it, if it resonates with you, then forget about everyone else. And
That's exactly what we were gonna say.
Only believe what feels right for you, regardless of what everyone else says.
Right. In fact, my mentor used to say, "Hey, don't believe it just because I said it. In fact, like, really don't." Like, he'd be like, "Don't believe that just because I said it. I believe it when it's your experience and when you feel it in your heart. That's it."
But on the other hand, it's not just from one person. Because you can Google it and there's all kinds of information about Lemuria. So it's not like, because the way I look at it, I come from a cult religion background, there's not just one person saying this is the way life should be. There's a whole lot of different people that don't know each other that are saying this is the way it is. So that's why it's easier for me to keep it.
Right. And it's just such an experience to read books. Like, it's definitely worth it to try out. Okay. So we're gonna get, alright. They're physically human, they're in the 5th dimension. We all know that there are higher dimensions, that's actually proven in physics. And in the Vede, which I studied actually conveniently a lot, I have a master's degree in Vedic science, there is this concept of yugas. So the Vede is probably one of the oldest books on Earth that we know on surface population. There's a concept of yugas, which is that there's 4 different time periods of 25,000 years, which we cycle through all the time. And that says that, you have like a whole galaxy going on back there, right? Okay, see that? That says that we at one point were in Sat Yug, which was the pure Yug, the happy fun time, okay? And then we fell in consciousness, and it got less and less what my old people would have said percentage of natural law was existent in the civilization. Like, people were not at one with themselves and others and God anymore, right? So it became straight to Yuga, and then it goes on like that. There's 4 Yugas. We're in Kali Yuga right now. Kali Yuga is the worst. They predicted that this would be the time that we would rise out of Kali Yuga into Sat Yuga really fast. That's the same thing as the Mayan calendar says. Actually, the Mayans didn't say that we were all gonna like just blow up spontaneously. It was actually that we were gonna ascend, or that we were going to go into a new era. So there's a lot of sources that confirm this kind of stuff. So that's what the Lemurians are saying too, actually. It was like the Garden of Eden, meaning like everything was beautiful, is the kind of feeling you get. And you can go back, like you can do regressions or go into your own experience and kind of confirm, like see for yourself what it felt like, because a lot of you are probably here because you had many lifetimes in, you know, they say that all of the people that would come into contact with this book have had lifetimes in Lemuria, and probably Atlantis also, and a bunch of other, like, every other culture. So it's just part of our history as Earth people. And Lemuria had really large trees, really large rocks. People did a lot of, like, energy work and work of crystals and stuff like that. So it was really beautiful. The Earth was pristine. It wasn't polluted yet, you know. Okay. We pretty much went into the fall. Okay, so there was a whole big problem, a whole big fallout, and you want to describe what happened overnight?
Well, the whole continent stopped. But there were priests and people that stayed, because only, what was it, like 25,000 people got to go inside the Earth, and the rest of the people went down, and the song Old Lang Syne that they sing in music actually was the song that the priests were singing to calm the people.
And priestesses.
And priestesses as well. It's kind of like when you think of the Titanic when it was going down and all the musicians kept playing the music. it was to calm the people, and there was so much sorrow and grief, and that's a lot that we carry within ourselves.
Incurred from that one night. Like,
yeah.
a lot of people were asleep when it went down, so they say that that's part of our job now is to heal any of that pain.
They were very brave. I mean, they say when they were going down, and there were supposed to be more than 25,000, but the Lemurians, because literally they wanted to have like 500,000 and only 25,000 survived because they changed the timeline.
Right.
So, let's see. Okay. So, we kind of went into the fact that dragons, unicorns, Bigfoot, little people, fairies, hobbits are all real. The thing is, my mentor used to say, you know, if it's in a legend, it's there for a reason. It's not like we made it up. Some person didn't make up like all those legends that all go together and all are the same. You know, like there's dragon legends in China as well as in England as well as, you know, in all these places. So so all of the myths and legends are all true, is what the Lemurians also say. Does anybody have any questions about any of that stuff before we go forward? Yeah.
So really, like that Avatar, that movie, it's like the battle between Atlantis and Lemuria.
Yeah.
Basically what it boils down to.
Yeah, when I watched that movie, this is before I knew any of this stuff, but when I watched that movie, I was like, whoa, this is real. This is real. And when I got out of it, everybody was like, yeah, well, special effects, blah, blah, blah. I hated that movie, you know, and I was like, really? How could you? I don't know, it just seemed very true to me. There was a lot of truth there. But that was my experience. Okay, so on to healing the heart. The biggest thing that we can do right now. This is, for me, I have a problem with some of the spiritual movements, actually, because we don't talk about this enough. This is like, oh, raise your vibration, and a lot of people read a lot of books, and they say this in these books too. If you read a lot of books and ingest a lot of information, that's awesome, but you'd better be doing your work too, your inner work, as in like healing your heart and your beliefs, because that's the real stuff. And it's really fun to get a lot of information, but that's my soapbox right
It's
there.
just like how so many of us, especially my generation, were raised where you weren't allowed to feel any feelings, so you just stuffed them. And what you actually have to do, part of your work, is to allow yourself to feel those feelings and work through them to raise your vibration. Because if you don't actually feel them through your heart, you're just going through your head, and that's not going to work. It has to.
And I actually have a whole class on that also next week, because I was conveniently taught an entire technique for this before I knew any of this stuff. And I've been on my soapbox about it for years, and people are like, and they run the other way. But I'm like, if you just deal with your issues, it's not that hard, actually. It's not as hard as it feels like. It really isn't. Because we have some techniques now that make it so much easier and faster. And even Melissa and Sharon back here went through a whole process with us called the empowerment process that my friend Janet created, and that's just a way of healing your beliefs, just like radical forgiveness is, or theta healing, or Byron Katie's The Work, or EFT tapping, or my friend Rory Goff does a particle work thing too. I will do any of those things with people who want to come and see me, but I usually do the empowerment process just because I like it so much and I'm used to it. The point is to go through those beliefs and actually have an awareness step of what your beliefs are first, before you go into what it's like without that belief. Because a lot of spiritual people skip that step, and they're like, oh, but I'm just going to believe positive things. It's a good idea, and it's the right feeling, but the problem is that we're avoiding the whole belief that we actually have in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of beliefs that you have in your subconscious, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you think you're going in the right direction, but you're kind of sabotaging yourself because you don't even realize that you have a certain belief. So
And a lot of it's
There's a
just
lot
from
of
being here on
And a lot of
Earth
times
and being
it's
part of the
good
collective.
to figure out with someone who can help you what is your actual belief over this and that. Write down, I think this and that, so that you can clear it.
Totally true. And
Yeah.
this is my little health model that I came up with before I read these books, which to me is the truth after like 10 years of studying stuff like this. That you have a soul, you have karma. Your karma is actually part of your mental body, but your mental body is usually open and influenced by where you are. Like you're here on Earth, so you're here with a bunch of people who believe that, for instance, we can't fly, so we don't fly. I use
But we
that all the
can.
time. Right, I use that one as an example because it's like, well, yeah, that's just a collective belief, right? So that mental body creates your emotional body, which creates your energetic body, which creates your physical body, which creates the collective body. So every person who changes their beliefs actually help the entire collective, but it's just, it feels like a lot of work and it feels like it's not doing that much, but it actually is. It's a huge deal.
Did you have another question?
Yes.
There's more of a comment going back to the whole negative with the or good with the bad. It's like you have to know what it feels like to hurt, to know what it feels like to love. You have to know what darkness feels like, to know what it feels like to be in the light. Right?
Right.
And that's probably the reason why we chose to have negative experiences, actually, that we can now heal. Yeah. And they say that this lifetime is all about healing all of your lifetimes on Earth. That's what the Lemurians said. And when they said that, I was like, oh man, I knew that, but I just didn't know it, consciously. So, the thing is, if we don't heal that stuff, then we don't get to ascend this lifetime, and we have to wait another 25,000 years, they said.
And go through the karma, reincarnation again of all the pain and energy. So.
Yeah, so it's like, it is a happy, fun message and class that we're teaching, but it's also like, yeah, there's some serious stuff here. Yeah. And the serious stuff is not that hard. I mean, it feels really hard at first, but I've done a lot of it myself, so I know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You start feeling better.
I've done a lot of work with Hillary since December, and have completely changed my life. I mean, I've healed my body. I've had all kinds of illnesses and stuff. That everything all makes better.
She doesn't have any pain anymore. She's fibromyalgia.
Yeah, I have no pain. Which I was on Vicodin, so
it's proof that if you heal your beliefs, that your physical body will eventually heal.
yes.
So that's an important point anyway, right? Is because we don't want to be sick. Okay, so we got to get rid of distorted, erroneous belief systems. The belief systems, like we said before, are not necessarily your fault that you have them. Okay, so it's not about blaming yourself or giving you more guilt or any of that stuff. It's just like, let's get rid of let's figure out what's really in there and get rid of it. Emotions that go with them, there's emotions stuck to your beliefs. It's like they stick together, It's like, yeah, that's why you can actually process stuff out emotionally if you're that kind of person. Most people have to do it mentally, though. I have learned how to do it emotionally, and I used to do that before I learned to believe stuff. But it's a little more subtle, actually, to do belief stuff, and you don't have to go through quite as much emotional pain that way. But some people just resonate more with that, like just feeling their feelings instead of going through the whole belief thing. But it's really useful to know why you've got that pain or something. It's really useful. And it's not necessarily all pain, sometimes it's just like irritation or something. It's not all completely dramatic.
You can also do it through the energetic body too. Did you know that? With sound.
Yes, but you will feel it emotionally, and
Yes,
you will see
exactly.
your belief change.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
That's why I like to go through the belief because, well, partially I don't have that technology yet, but also I feel like it's useful for people to understand that having someone come and heal them is not actually as powerful as them participating in their own healing.
Totally.
And I think the Lemurians actually said that too. But So I was like, yes, because Lemurians are saying all the stuff that I've been saying, and I'm like, and it all connected together. I was like, yay. So they said that these things can help us go through our baggage, okay? Unconditional love. If you have love, if you open your heart, they said, it's going to be so much easier and faster if you do that. I wish somebody had told me that a long time ago, because I went through a lot of stuff kind of without quite doing that, and some of it might have been the time period. It wasn't really easy to do that at the time. But I was also part of a movement that just completely ignored the emotions entirely. Meditate, eat good food, do yoga, but let's not talk about feelings. I was like, how come you guys look so unhealthy? Seriously, because they look like, like kind of sunken, and they're going into the meditation dome twice a day. And you're like, what is wrong with you, And really, honestly, it's like if you shrink from feeling that much, you're shrinking from your own heart. And your own heart is the gateway to your soul. That's what they say. So don't be too afraid, because people are afraid of feelings, and that's okay. Everybody is. But the point is that there's techniques that work, and if you feel the feeling separate from the story, it's just a feeling. It's just a sensation in your body, and it's actually not as scary. And you can think of it like it's part of you. You have these experiences that are in your soul, so it's not like this outside thing the way that we feel it is sometimes. This thing that happened to us, right? They said if you just have the intention, that you want to ascend this lifetime, that's a big deal. Just say that every night, or say that to yourself. Even once is a big deal, because having intentions at all are powerful. They're up here, and we're creating our full reality from up here. And there are people that can help, as I've just described. And there's a lot of different techniques. So they said, I like how they said this, everything is different for everybody. Like, different techniques work for different people. That's probably why I've gotten so much education on all these different techniques. I don't know. But
the one cool thing is what she's talking about is you can ask when you go to sleep at night to go to Telos, to go to their classes. Yeah. And they, in one part, in one of the books, it said that the classes in Telos are really full right now, so you can also go to Atlanta. The Atlantean classes. Because they're
you can also go to Machu Picchu, apparently, and learn more things about plant life. There's more stuff about gardening there.
Yeah. But it's the intention of, because you can learn things, you can travel
in your astral body.
At night.
In the Seven Circuit Plains, they do have the healing temple, the Jade Healing Temple,
right.
in Telos, that you can actually ask before you go to sleep to go there, and so you can do your own healing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they said they opened that up for all of humanity because that was particularly needed right now. And there's a whole meditation. There's all these meditations in these books that you can do if you get them.
That one book is amazing. I've been on a spiritual path for about 3 years, and this is the only book that I really
did it for you.
Yeah. And I was guided to it when I was up at Mount Shasta, actually.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? Yeah.
It's
I didn't know
very
anything
powerful
about
when
it,
you go to the Jade Crystal. Just so that you guys know, if you guys want to do something with that book, go to the Jade Crystal, because it will change your life, literally.
What's the Jade Crystal?
It's in this book.
Is it a meditation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also had awesome experiences with the Resurrection Flame and the Ascension Flame too.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But
could you talk more about the Resurrection Flame?
Sure. We weren't going to get into that, but we can do that. We weren't going to get into the whole Jesus thing. Because the Lemurians explained that Jesus is part of their ascended, yes. And that there's a lot of ascended masters hanging out in Telos. Not always. They're not always there, but there's a lot of them, like St. Germain. So a lot of people are into this whole ascended masters thing. Basically, it's just that everybody who's walked the earth that's had a lot of spiritual wisdom and taught people a lot of them were ascended masters. They ascended and are now in fifth-dimensional bodies. So Jesus, they say, is Nanda, and Mary Magdalene is Nada, who's twin flame, and they are masters of the resurrection flame. And the resurrection flame's day is on Thursday, so if you want to have more power for your resurrection, do it on Thursday. It's funny because I learned the big planetary significations of the days also before, and they kind of correspond a little bit. The colors are very similar. The color of the resurrection flame is like an orange or a gold, and it's the same as the Jupiter color. So you can just invoke that flame. Just saying to yourself at night or whenever you want, I invoke this resurrection flame. They also explain in the later books that the way that Jesus said it in the Bible was not a mistake. It was like, I am the resurrection and the life. You say that, and then put something after that, that's some part of your life that you want to resurrect. I am the resurrection and the life of my body. You want to resurrect your body, or maybe more specific about health problems you have. I'm the resurrection and the life of my finances. I love that one. It totally works. It totally worked for me. Okay. There's 7 flames, so there's 7 days, and there's actually 5 other flames. There's a whole bunch of flames actually, but there's 7 main flames that they all have their own day. That's why I want to do later classes on those, or meditation classes on those. Okay. Yes. So they say the time of reunion is close. Okay. But we must up our vibration.
And we have to learn to love ourselves.
Right. They said the first step is to learn to love yourself and your vibration upping. You must raise your vibration, because otherwise they're not gonna hang out with you. Basically, they're not coming down to our level. So we all must up our vibration, and it's pretty serious, but it's also not as serious as it sounds.
Actually, in the book, they say if you want to find your soulmate, you don't have to. First, you have to have self-love, and you don't have to go on a website, or you don't have to go to a dating thing. It's just that once you love yourself, you will find your soulmate.
Once you truly love yourself, they said they will fall into your lap.
Yeah.
You will not have a choice.
So reunion means to reunion with them?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
reunion with them, because they're really excited about finally being.
They're looking forward to it.
Yeah, they miss us. A lot of us they knew before, and
Because it's our soul family.
No, it's like the feeling of having, like, you're
Right.
reunited with your loved ones.
Right.
yeah, and they said, look, it is attainable. It sounds like it's really, really hard, and it is. It is very hard at the beginning. They said the more that you gain momentum, then it gets easier. I can attest to that personally, because I've been doing various spiritual things since 1997. So at the beginning, it was like sleeping a lot for me.
Sleep in there.
And then it slowly started to gain momentum, and now things are starting to get awesome. Honestly, I've been through a lot of emotional pain, guys. I was born with probably more emotional pain than most people, for real. And I have dealt with, I would say, a good 75% is my intuition right now. And things start to get happy. They start to get fun, and you start to have this heart-opening experience with everything I was watching. So I think you can dance today, and I was crying and all this stuff in a good way, because it was so touching. They said if you open your heart to love, you can go faster. So they said that. If you have to have self-love. They said that. Okay. Golden rule. They really don't like how we're violent with our animals. We explained that before, and so for all sentient beings, for everybody, that there should be a golden rule. And they said, look, you can telepathically communicate with animals and get their cooperation better that way also, which I'm going to go into on Wednesday night. And I practice that with my cat. The funny thing about that is animals have their own personalities, so you can communicate with them, but they might be like, yeah, whatever, and walk away. But if we all started doing stuff like that more instead of the stuff that's going on right now, you know, abandoning and abusing and caging and
About eating.
bad
Are they
karma.
against eating them?
They're vegetarians, I think, but the important thing I think is to start treating them better first. I wouldn't like worry so much about. They said as far as food, they said, look, your food is really bad quality.
That's over there.
Yeah,
98% of it.
it's 98% depleted or altered.
And I just
Depleted
saw,
of energy or altered.
seriously, I just saw on the news this week, and I don't even watch the news, but it was on just when I was leaving the house tonight. They've now made a genetic
Hamburger.
hamburger
Out
from
of
stem
stem
cells.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk about
Weird.
GMO food.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that was
So
just
that's a good science experiment. Glad we can do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Not
but
interested. See, that's a perfect example of putting our minds over our hearts, you know? It's like, can we do that? Yeah, we can do that. Cool. So what about, like, what's in here?
ingesting it, yeah.
Why don't we start living from here instead of up here? So,
And the crop circles
crop circles!
have always been a fascination of mine.
I love looking at crop circles. They said that they're 4th and 5th dimensional gardens, right? So, and I've heard that Andromedans, in collaboration with Inner Earth people and the spirits of the plants, do these crop circles. So, you can tell when one is faked too, you guys. The ones that are faked are just like ridiculous looking. The ones that are real are like, you can sit there and look at it forever. It's so beautiful, you know? So, I would just go by your own experience with it. And I've heard that you really can raise your vibration even just by looking at a bunch of crop circles. So I even showed them to my nephew when he was born for a while. Like I just did like slideshows of crop circles. My sister's like, "What are you showing me?" I'm like, "Nothing.
I love it.
We're just checking out." You want to talk about crystals, Jan, since you're a crystal child crystals?
Oh
yeah.
So they hold a lot of information and they're also a source of energy. And over in Lemuria, right now, they have several ways to travel. They have moving sidewalks. They have things that are like snowmobiles, and then they have crystal energy trains that go 3,000 miles an hour. So you can go pretty much where you want to go without too much effort. But it's all like crystals.
Basically,
And it helps awaken the energy.
yeah. And basically, they've mastered their Merkaba, their light body, which spins and it actually can create teleportation. So Star Trek is real. And so crystals can be used for holding information or for getting energy, and that can include transportation. Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, that whole Superman thing's interesting, right? Because he goes into a cave, you know, with the crystals, and then there's kryptonite and all that stuff. It's kind of. I would check out the science fiction movies more, you guys, after this, because so many things actually have some truth in them, you know, that we just think are not true at all. Also, the X-Files almost like truth, almost. So we can work with crystals to help us, our consciousness too. If you get really into them, I mean, it's just like it's a whether you like them or not, guys. Like, don't use them if you don't like them. But I didn't have any interest until this year, and I went to Mount Shasta and got like $500 worth of different kinds of crystals. Be careful, yeah. Be careful if you get a soul connection, because you might spend money you don't have.
You should see all the crystals there. It's amazing.
Yeah, and they said, look, you've got a crystal inside of you in a different dimension. It's like your heart, kind of. So if you have crystals around you, you can kind of work with them in the way of starting to open that.
Is that like they talk about beings that are like, they look like they're made of steel or something like that, with like a diamond at their core, but like it's like their soul that's connected to
Did you talk about a
the
diamond?
the common consciousness or something like that.
I don't disbelieve you. I'm not sure
And
I've heard that.
you can't like I've heard that you can't die. You just get reborn into the collective consciousness through the soul. Like your energy can't be dissipated. It just goes back into.
It's called crystalline energy. So at the highest level, we're all crystals.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so it's a crystalline energy. And so the higher you go, your higher vibration goes, and you can, do it with dimensions as well.
This is a good point, actually. Yeah, because there's a whole thing with the crystal grid of the earth, for one thing. And also, your soul's like a snowflake. It's not like anybody else's. And when we say that we merge into the God or unity or oneness, a lot of people get scared because it's like, it's not true. You never cease to exist. You're always going to be there in some way. So yeah, that's true what you're saying. And there's a crystal grid around the earth that connects everything together. And that is now being, they basically put it back on the earth. So they said it was before electromagnetic. It was all we were allowed to have. And now we get the crystal grid back. So basically having crystals around and just doing all the evolution activity we do is going to affect everybody around us, and we feel everybody else more because of this crystal grid. So that's kind of a cool thing. You can go into that more in detail. But.
And the cool thing, like, okay, so the Lemuria sunk 12,000 years ago, but the Lemurians are like 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 years old, and they look between the ages of 20 and 40. You can kind of pick what age you want to look like. Which is really cool.
It sounds like we're like on, like we just smoked something before we came here, but the thing is, the thing is, if you're in a fifth dimensional consciousness, then you are creating yourself in moment. It's not like you, sorry. It's not like you, it's like we're in a denser, lower vibration here and everything takes longer. So if we create ourselves here, we are still creating our whole reality, but it takes longer to see that, and so we don't realize that we're doing it. So like, you do something now, it affects you 6 months from now, and you're like, why did that happen? Man, God hates me. But in a fifth dimensional consciousness, everything's going faster, and it's lighter. So basically, you're creating it, and it happens now.
That's how you can tell, right? Is when you're manifesting faster. So if you have a thought process and you're like, all of a sudden, one night you're thinking something, and then the next morning it happens, you have the awareness like, oh my gosh, I actually manifested that quickly.
And your vibration has upped.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're like, oh my God, I can do that. Let's do that again. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Because everything that you think
is real. But I like to put a little caveat on that I don't like people to be afraid of their own brain, though, because a lot of people in spiritual movements are walking around like, don't say that. Really? Don't say that. No, really, they are. And
I usually stay away. I kind of myself because I'm usually like, I'll go with the vegan society, but I'm not with the spiritual because there's so many different views on different things.
So I think the in between that is like, as
Mm-hmm.
long as you acknowledge your feelings, like you're saying, and working through those, you don't have to act them out, right? You can actually think about your thoughts and your feelings and go through them through probably your process.
Through a process or something.
But you don't have to act them out with other people.
Right. You start getting it. But the great thing about doing processing stuff is that you just start spontaneously not acting them on other people.
Yeah.
It's not like we have to always be like on guard. Because I don't like that, because that's actually not a spontaneous, innocent way of living. And so people are like going around like, don't say that,
Because just like an example, I said one time I love my daughter-in-law to death, and this gal says, don't say that. And she's going to die. And I said, well, I mean, I don't want her to die. I just really care about her.
Figure of speech.
And I don't want to have to watch everything that I say, because I said that in a very caring, loving way. I didn't,
your
It's just a
intention
figure of
was
speech.
different.
It's not.
It's all up from the heart. It's all about
Yeah.
the heart and the intention. And if you're saying stuff all the time that's creating bad stuff, then you might want to look at that. But if you're, if you say something, you get upset, something happens, you curse, whatever, it's over, like get over it. Because if you're processing stuff all the time, if you're doing your process regularly, then you're going to start everything's going to be easier, like spontaneously more positive and not like, from the trenches.
Supposedly in the book they have the 7 rays, because there's more. And supposedly we're all born on a certain ray, which is really cool.
Yeah, which is really
Yeah,
awesome.
I was born on the 3rd. I was like, I know.
I'm a first.
My mother's a first.
The
She's a
glue,
teacher.
because
She's a teacher.
I just
Yeah, she's a teacher.
when I read that I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I was like, guys, you got to tell me what my ray is. So I kind of waited a couple days and I got the answer. But if I trusted myself more, probably I would have gotten it right away.
Hey, you're trusting yourself. You're teaching a class.
Yeah, and you know what? What you said before, I actually want to address that because I think that pretty soon we have to start looking at all of the New Age, spiritual, whatever you want to call this community, and start unifying it, you guys, because just the fact that we have the different beliefs, that's okay. Whatever, we're all different people, but we're the ones who are trying to ascend this lifetime, and we better start helping each other out and start having a unified front instead of collaborate and stuff, instead of it being competitive or you believe this and I believe that and
Non-judgmental.
yes. So I know that's gonna happen eventually. It's gonna happen eventually. So that's my little soapbox for tonight, but
And now let's get into the marriage part. So that's fun.
Yeah.
We went over the food supply, right? And
Yeah.
do you guys have questions about food? It's like they said, look, just try. Like they said, look, kids have ADD because they're around
It's the environment.
all of they're getting microwaved food. They're around all these environmental toxins like radiation and all this, even
Those are genetically modified.
all
food.
the contraptions, even
Sugar.
computers and telephones and all that stuff. It's not like, hey, get rid of all your devices. It's not like that. It's just have some awareness about it and maybe try to do the best you can. But you'll know through your heart and through your intuition what is the best thing for you to eat. Because it's not just the same for everybody, And I used to be into the blood type diet, and some blood types are supposed to eat meat and some are not, and I kind of still go by that kind of philosophy because I've been part of movements where they were like, everybody should be vegetarian, and it's just really tricky when you start having these rules that everybody should do anything.
Everybody's unique, like you said. Everybody's unique, so whatever is best for you is what you just follow. There's no better way. It's an individual experience.
So the Lemurian thing is all about learning to follow your own guidance and your own heart and your own intuition and stuff. Okay. So they're kind of hardcore about certain subjects that I like. No more autopilot. They don't like how much we watch TV and shop. They're they're going off about how we shop so much. And it is, I taught that artist way, and it's a excuse to not be creative. Really, is part of it. They also said some of the chit chat. I think that's dependent on whether or not you're having a heart connection with a person. If you're having a heart connection with somebody, then that's really important. But if you're blah blah blah, and complaining and shooting the shit or whatever,
Gossiping.
yeah. Okay, they were really down on the abuse of women too, really bad. My former spiritual movement completely ignored the whole subject of gender equality, which I was really upset about. Yeah, because they were based on this Indian thing, and there's still some in the Indian culture. There's some interesting inequalities, and they're not. Lemurians are not saying everybody should be the same. You know, no, we're not the same. It's just everybody should have the same rights. And people allowing themselves, they said, look, you can't allow yourself to be abused anymore either. And that includes like verbal abuse or any kind of abuse. Because you gotta take care of yourself, and that's the first step in loving yourself. So they really don't like how women are being treated in certain parts of the world. I'm not going to go into like female circumcision because I had to learn about that in high school. You know, there's like stuff like that still happening. So, not just anyone is allowed to have children in Lemuria. Do you want to talk about that, Jan?
Yeah, what's cool is there's two types of marriage. There's bonded and there's sacred. The bonded marriage is where there's two people come together and they can be married for a few years or they can be married for 100 years or whatever, but if they decide to separate, it's a mutual agreement. There's no like divorce per se, or it's not
a problem
or anything like that. But if you go into a sacred marriage, that means that you are with that person for eternity. And it can be
That's a long time.
And the only way that you have children, there's no unwanted children. The only way that you have children is by invitation, number one. And you have to be married for hundreds or thousands of years, depending upon. And you have to have parenting classes before you can have children.
I love that part because I knew that from when I was a kid. Like, parents should have classes. Like,
Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing, you know.
And even if you only have one child, they have 10 godparents, so they're never, and they have all these surrogate brothers and sisters. So it's not like they're an only child. It's this like they say, it takes a community to raise a child.
The village or whatever.
Village.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of my favorite things. Plus, another thing is when they have great sex education, because when kids are like between 13, 14, 15, with a priest and priestess, they are taught about sexuality, and they can experiment sexually and things like that.
So it's not like forbidden.
Yeah,
and, like
it's not.
they're not told.
They can't mistakenly have a baby.
No,
You also can't have a baby though, so.
because it's not by invitation.
I thought it was 3 to 18. I'm
Oh,
like,
no, no.
that's
No,
cool.
that's
Cool. That starts
cool.
early.
Oh,
No,
that's
that
not
was
to
about they're in school from 3 to 18.
Oh, okay.
But I have to say, I was taught sex education when I was 4,
Yeah.
and I was not damaged. I was totally okay about it. And the way that there was a book that I was read, you know, like what was that book?
I think it's
Who's your-
helpful.
It was totally helpful, and I was like, thank God, because when the kids start making all those jokes, you know, when
Yeah.
you're in school, and all the kids are like,
I think
oh, you know, and you're just like, what?
It's just information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do they prevent the women from getting pregnant?
Because
They don't believe.
you can't get pregnant without the invitation.
It's an energetic type
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So this is what's you're in the 5th dimension, and they said that for us, that so the aliens have manipulated our DNA, and that's why we have children.
When
Sex.
that's another thing is that they have 144 strands of DNA. We have 12.
No. 144 shockers. They have
Oh, shocker,
32 strands of DNA.
And we have what?
12, and we only have 2.
But we can activate our
Yeah.
DNA
Yeah.
code on if we can do that.
We can actually change
Actually,
it.
And the way you do that is
Yes.
just by evolving and raising your vibration. So dealing with all your baggage, getting rid of erroneous beliefs you don't need, being in good energy, all that stuff that you're doing, feeding yourself good food, all that stuff helps you start using your DNA. What was your question?
It was just about having children.
Mhm.
I don't know if anyone's seen the Man of Steel movie with the Codex, with
Yeah.
all the genetic programming of the entire civilization. Like they only get they don't get to have children on their own, they lost that ability, but Superman's the one that comes from that. It's the savior thing.
Oh, I'm gonna
Wow.
watch it. I love all
That's
those
cool.
Now I gotta go
movies.
see it.
Yeah, now I gotta go see it.
I love all those movies. Like I've always loved them, and now I realize why.
Yes.
And then too, the way it works, there's 5 different levels. Like you can work in factories, you can work in gardening and things like that. You only work 20 hours a week. And also when you I gotta back up a little.
Okay, you're going ahead of yourself.
I don't have ADD at all. But back to the children thing too. When you have a child, both parents take 2 years off from work to raise that child.
Isn't that awesome?
It's so cool. But then
They're only pregnant for 12 weeks though.
yeah. So,
And they hang out in a temple the whole time.
yeah.
Nice.
And when the kids are like 12, they get to be part of this group. It's
Because
like
that's
10
when they
kids.
start being proper children.
Yeah, they start getting adolescent. Just all the stuff that happens here, but they're just more evolved. So they put them in a group of kids, and they get to have like this gang for their whole life. That they're kind of like their home gang, you know. And I was like, man, that's awesome. And they never engage in sexual manipulation, so people aren't like emotionally abused through sex the way that people are here. Sex is a big problem here because people are engaging in sex without their heart. That's basically what it comes down to, and that's why we have STDs. That's a little bit of my own thing, actually.
Sidebar, little sidebar.
But I just know. And when they have sex, they said they have 144 chakras that unite with the other person. So it's like a much bigger thing than.
What is that allowed to experiment with? What?
What's that?
With supervision. Okay,
What?
that they just mean that we were making ourselves really brief for this. When they become about 14, they start to be allowed to experiment with sexuality, but they have a supervisor. They have a priest or priestess, and we were like, I hope they're not watching. You know? I don't think they're watching, but it's like their group has a priest or a priestess that's assigned to them, so they have like this advisor basically. Okay, we went over that kind of stuff. Okay, so everything's harmonious. There's no violence.
There's no competition.
No war.
Yeah.
The government isn't like one dude.
Well, they have a king and queen, and then
Do they have a king?
yeah, because we missed that part.
I can skip
Yeah,
over it.
I know that's true.
They have a council that is elected based on their spiritual merit, not their
And it's 6
popularity.
feminine and 6. Yeah. Because they have six women and 6 men too.
Yeah, which is awesome. So they have gender equality all the
Yeah.
time.
See, it says there's 2 forms of government: the king and queen of Telos, Ra and Ranamu, are ascended masters and are also twin flames from one aspect of Telos, and then the ultimate rulers are the council.
It's actually like identical to what the new Man of Steel movie has in the office.
I didn't watch this movie.
They're ruled by the council, and the council has control of the codex, which has the genetic encoding of the entire species.
Interesting.
I know.
No, seriously, some of the superhero movies are pretty awesome. Like we're all actually superheroes.
Well, then,
So
then they have the 13th member of the council, which is a Dharma.
right, the priest.
Yeah.
And he's been around
Forever.
since the beginning. Okay, so and a lot of these books are channeled from him talking. He's pretty awesome. I like him. Okay, so people work 20 hours a week. There's all these levels to the city. You wanted to talk about that?
Yeah, because they have, like, one level is the manufacturing, one level is the
Organic farming.
farming. Yeah, but the job that you do is what you have a passion for. So it's not like, oh crap, I gotta go to this job for 20 hours a week, and I don't like it. You get to do whatever you want, and if you want to change your job, it's no big problem. But they really stress more of spending time with family, and they have a lot of holidays and celebrations, and it's where kids come from other cities, and they all have this big party, and
There's dancing and music.
yeah, lots of dancing and music.
I'm a dancer, so I liked the part about if you want to be a dancer, you can go to the temple and learn from the dancers there.
And you can get
So it's a spiritual activity. It's considered a. I was like, oh, this is how my whole life goes together.
And then, like, your home, you manifest your own home any way that you want it, and it's out of crystal, and you can see out, like, everywhere, but people can't see in. It's
Except for
grounded.
in Machu Picchu, I guess they have pyramid houses.
But so you have your privacy, but yet it's all open. But you can have it any way you want. You just say, okay, I kind of like that.
But they use sacred geometry, like
Yeah.
it's round or it's pyramid, because that's the geometry that actually creates a good energy. There was a whole pyramid group here a little while ago where they showed you what it's like to be in a pyramid. This lady named Papa Pyramid. She goes all over Sacramento. I saw her, like, she's like going to yoga studio too. So there's pyramids all in that room. We're all sitting in them. And for me, it was like, whoa, this is seriously energy different. It's different to be in a pyramid. And that's why they use pyramids and circles and stuff. So I guess yurts are like... I knew that yurts were good. Okay, so... So there's a lot of, like, this is your wake-up call, people. Surrender to your I am presence. Okay. So they have this whole thing about your I am presence, which is, like, up above your... It's, like, in a chakra that's above your chakras here. I think it's, like... I don't remember how many feet up there. But I feel like that was, for me, the meditation practice that I did for a long time integrates that. So, any kind of, I think a lot of meditation that you do you connect with that I am presence. It's kind of like just connecting to your soul, really, is what we're talking about. Surrender, they say, surrender to that, your heart, and the will of God. That's mostly the main ideas. The will of God being what is best for you, okay? Not how we think of God in the Christian, like, kind of scary paradigm, where God is an old man that, like, punishes you. It's not like that. Yeah. That, because I've run into that recently with somebody who came to one of my classes and was like, and it's so interesting because we all have these collective beliefs about God, actually. That's why we're still in the third dimension. We have these collective beliefs about God. And if we can get to the point where God is actually good and here to support us and helping us and wants us to do well, wants us to succeed for ourselves, for who we are, loves us as individuals, not like, you better do this thing or shape up, you know.
And the I am within is actually saying that I am God, you are God, we are all God, we're all channel.
Yes. Yeah, they say that a lot in these books. So it's very, they keep saying you need to connect with your own divinity. It's in there. Do you guys have questions? I have, like, still more notes, but... Is there anything in particular you guys want to know about?
Any other beings that live underneath?
Yeah, you want to talk?
Well, there's the beings as far as, like, there's like dragons on one side of the mountain.
I heard about. I don't
Jan's
know
all
much
about dragons,
that.
man.
I heard about
Bigfoot?
reptilians.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reptilian. I don't know anything about that personally, reptilians, but I think dragons are kind of related.
They're, yeah.
There's also, basically, maybe somebody else here knows more about as far as animals. There's like a connection to the inner earth. Now there's the other cities inside the earth, like Shambhala, that have been there way longer even.
Or Poissy in Brazil, the Madagascar, Brazil, it's Poissy, that's the Atlantis, in Brazil.
Yeah.
Actually,
And there's one underneath Machu Picchu, which is why it makes so much sense why people are all about Machu Picchu when they go there, you know? They're like, oh.
Isn't there like 8 power centers in?
There's a lot of power centers. They make a big deal about certain countries too, like creating power triangles too in the earth.
These maps aren't the best, but like Lemuria was, it kind of passes kind of underneath all these countries.
There's a map.
And
There's actually
like in South America.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, one that they talk about is between Brazil, France,
In Brazil,
and
there's
Canada. Quebec.
Our cities as well, because like Atlantis was on this coast and Lemuria was over here.
Yeah,
Lemuria
in there.
covered the whole big area, and then under Canada, like
Um, They also say that
Montreal.
France has some cultural
Yeah.
similarities to Lemuria, so
Well, it's
yeah.
So it's pretty
the
good.
Eiffel Tower is just triangle structure. Like that was
That was just what I looked
Are
at.
you familiar with Indigos?
Huh?
Are you familiar with Indigos?
Because I was kind of curious. but-
I am. That's my oracle. Yeah.
We're talking indigo
as far
children.
As, like,
Yeah, like
But it's supposedly
the Indigo
very
Revolution.
Yeah.
area, so I think the
I'm
first
all
one
about
is
that.
actually-
I just don't.
Okay.
I never really studied it a lot until I just kind of recently got that. So, but I don't go into it a lot, but it's like
She knows
this is
it
what I am. That's my thing.
Intuitively.
It's her.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. People even did gemstone healing on me before, and were like, "That's your ray."
As they destroy the red.
I didn't even know they were talking about me.
We'll have more cataclysmic things happening.
But there's crystal children too, and they say that the crystal children actually hold some structure that crystals can
It's just all.
The
communicate
crystal
with.
jade.
That's interesting.
I got
Talking
told
about the
that.
redwoods and why we on
Oh,
the West Coast don't have all the cataclysms like
Yeah.
we do on the East Coast because our redwoods actually protect us.
Yeah.
Because they're all living spirits. So
Yeah, this
They're all part of the area.
chapter in this book from the Redwoods is actually a big deal for me.
Yeah. I like the
And Sharon.
redwoods.
Yeah, because redwoods are straight from Lemuria, so when you see them, they have a really good energy. I like all evergreen trees, but redwoods are pretty amazing.
So not to freak you out or anything, but you asked the question because you're connected with several beings, different types of beings, and there's all kinds of different beings
Yeah.
that
That's why he
are on the earth, which is why you asked. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to confirm that for you because you should probably delve into that. If you go on the internet, there's all kinds of different
Yeah,
beings
you should
that they
research
speak about.
that.
And that's
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
very connected to
And
that.
then research
Portal.
that in your
You know that.
unconscious
coming
too.
in. Portal to outer space.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
all kinds of spaceships going in and out.
Apparently
Did you
there's-
know
yeah.
that the Canadian defense minister actually went live on YouTube? He was going live about alien life. Did you know that?
No,
He
but
actually went live June 1st. He went live saying there's 3 types of alien life, and he went before the whole council in Canada.
what did
Oh,
he say were the
yeah.
3 types of alien life?
I didn't know. I didn't watch it, but he said, and then this is June 1st, 2013. But of course, it wasn't here.
Nobody, yeah.
Nobody knows
Nobody
about it.
knows
Like,
about
oh,
it.
yeah, no. How many people do they have?
It's so true because
Yeah.
the X-Files stuff, you guys. And okay, so
I've
So,
seen a lot of weird things. So
like
yeah.
2 years ago, the National Security website. If you go to the National Security website, they release documents on there that show the Area 51 stuff. First of all, it's all on there. Just check it out because my boyfriend at the time was looking on the National Security website and was like, "Wow, this guy sued them for something, and they had to disclose their information." And they also have information about SETI stuff where they were communicating, the SETI project where they were beaming stuff into space from satellite. It was all information so that they could try to get something back from aliens. That whole thing, the satellites, the big satellites. Anyway, that actually they got something back, and they never told anybody. It's on.
Is it like that movie?
It's online. What?
It's like that movie with.
Contact.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I watched that movie a long time ago, I was like, man, it's a really good movie, and I was
It
crying
comes
and
back
stuff.
in number sequences and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, why do I cry every time I watch that movie? I don't understand. I was like, I didn't think any of it was real.
How do you know they got something back?
How did they know they got something
How
back?
do you know
Because
they got something back?
there's a record on the National Security website.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty straightforward. And it wasn't me that found it. It was my boyfriend at the time, and he didn't even care about that stuff that much. But then he started watching Ancient Aliens right after that. Because once you kind of come into contact with that, really good movie if you guys just want basic information. Thrive is a good movie that this guy who was part of the whole corporate empire kind of. I mean, he was the
It's
heir
Johnson
to
and Johnson.
no
Procter and
Foss,
Gamble.
yeah, Procter and Gamble. He's
He's one of the heirs. To
he's
the,
one of the Gambles.
Yeah, but he didn't want to be part of the family, so he started doing all this research, and there's proof that people have been murdered and all this stuff, been kidnapped because of the knowledge that they had, and it wasn't supposed to be released out to the public. And it's awesome. I mean,
It's a really good movie for people if you want to show people that might not believe that stuff yet, because it's just really straightforward, and the dude used to be part of the whole corporate thing, so it's kind of hard to ignore what he's saying. He went on his own research binge. I mean, he did
Case in
some.
point, my husband is
Yeah.
in Rush Limbaugh forever and Fox News and used to drive me insane. And I took my laptop and I put it on his lap and I said, watch this movie. And he quit watching Fox News. I don't know if he still listens to Rush because he wasn't doing it work. But he's totally changed his worldview.
And it's just, it's just,
Oh my God.
it's just like an easy, simple movie is the thing. If you watch it, it's pretty hard to ignore it as well. Especially if you run it through your own. You're gonna always run it through your own sensor, right?
Intuition.
Thrive.
Thrive.
But it's Thrive the movie.
Yeah, you go to the.
Because if you just do Thrive,
You go
get,
to
like,
thrivethemovement.com on the internet. Yeah. So there's always people talking at once.
Are you trying to think of the word intuition?
Intuition, yes.
Because you keep saying run it through your own.
Yeah, I want to say intuition and heart and all these things, and I have kind of a blank thing that happens with my voice sometimes. I kind of have that like inability to finish my sentences.
But when we focus on things, we actually magnify it. So if a lot of people are watching Thrive, it's going to magnify it. So I mean, everything you need is in that one book. Really.
But the thing about Thrive though is it's a very positive movie.
It's positive.
Yeah, watch it first before you.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a very positive movie. So it's
When
totally
it's,
fine
and
if
it
it not
comes
exciting.
from a reliable source. No, because this guy is, you know.
So
he's
that's just
legit.
fear. It's just a sensation in your body, and it's not actually. You know, you're not at risk. You're
No,
protected.
I don't feel at risk.
Yes.
I don't watch movies that are violent or anything. I can't. Like I'll try. Like I don't go to the movies.
Right. No worries about that.
It's
I don't
just
watch violent movies either.
Is it
I don't watch the
violent?
news.
No, it's not a violent movie. It's
Okay.
just
No.
a movie about the real truth. That's all. And it's very positive. It's about what we can do to make things better.
It's just that if you really want to find out what's going on in the United States, you listen to the. No, but I mean, seriously, you listen to the news on British broadcasting. Because if
Yeah.
you listen to American news, you don't know what the hell's going on except that Lindsay Lohan's back in.
Right.
You know, but you don't find out about all our troops that are coming back that have been killed in Afghanistan and all that stuff. You don't hear any of that stuff.
And the thing is, I would check it out. You know, if you don't.
For a while, so I saw it like firsthand, and I saw people that were really super messed up. So
Yeah. But I mean, you don't see that.
The thing about that movie is it's very hard based. So. And it's once you watch it, you'll want to show it to other people that might need that information.
Yeah.
It's not like the X-Files or something. Questions.
Are you? The movie, or it's a book, but it was turned into a movie, A Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman. Isn't
Heard
that
of
about
that
his
one.
like ascension to like his spiritual awakening? Isn't that what it is?
Yes.
Well, yeah, spiritual. This is a good question, actually. Spiritual awakening that everybody talks about, like other movements talk about spiritual awakening. It is the same thing as ascension. The Lemurians say though that in an ascension you would be able to disappear, kind of, because you'd be able to go to the fifth dimension. I know a lot of people who've had spiritual awakenings that are not like ascended in that way yet. So I think there's just a little bit of a check out Adyashanti and stuff, because a lot of people wake up and they still need to work on their beliefs and their feelings.
What is it?
In fact, you definitely need to work on your beliefs and your feelings once you wake up, because then you have the amount of consciousness present to do it.
What was it?
Well put.
ADY, thank you. I've been talking about that stuff for a long time. ADYASHANTI. It's just his name that he took because he had a Buddhist teacher, but the dude's name is like Tim Smith or something, and he is from Santa Cruz, so.
So what, is this a book or what is this?
He wrote a lot of books, and they're about once you wake up and how you need to keep going. And the Lemurians say that too. If you say, "I'm enlightened," that's it. It's the end.
Yeah.
It's like saying like, "Oh, that's done. Show's over. I'm on." It's like, no, man. Like, you might as well not be in a body anymore. Then if the show's over.
Because they said you can read
You
the
don't
book
know.
and keep reading. You know, you can read it 2 or 3 times, but if you don't really do the work, like through your heart, then you just read a book.
Right, that's why it took Jan and I a long time to read this book section. So the thing is, yeah, they just say there's always more. There's always more. You can always become more of something. You can always become more perfect, more happy, more enlightened, more everything. But there's certain like cutoffs, you know, where you can go to the fifth dimension, for instance, and before that you can't. That's an interesting, you know.
It's like what we were at 65% in 2008, was it? And then we're at 80%. We have to get to 90% before we can.
As a culture.
Yeah,
As a culture.
Yeah.
Individually, you can do different things.
Well,
but
yeah,
as a
Yeah,
culture.
they're talking about like,
Yeah.
okay, you know, the amount of people that need to get enlightened or ascend in order for our entire culture to be in the higher dimensions, that's a lot of people. That's like 80 or 90%. I wouldn't worry about that so much right now. Just worry about yourself. Because that's all you can do. And
you're affecting everyone around you.
Totally.
Even if you don't talk about it, right?
Yes.
Because you're bringing a different vibration to every
Right.
person or thing that you encounter.
That's why you have to be careful of your thoughts and what you say to a certain extent, because
Yeah, you have to be careful what you say to people who don't have any exposure to it. That definitely is true.
Or just go out there and say, you know what? There's
Because if you're like, we're all gonna ascend, and there's gonna be a light UFO that's gonna take us, you know, just be careful about that
Put you in a
stuff.
straitjacket and then just cut it broke.
Yeah, and
but if you look at all the cult religions, have said that for 100 years.
I know there's a lot of other people who say that, but
yeah.
but yeah, you just want to deal with yourself, and if you want to, you can do prayers for your family and for your people that you love. You know,
send them unconditional love.
yes, that's always what you do. Doesn't matter. That's one thing you can do without invitation. Even unconditional love always transcends all
And
barriers.
gratitude for what you have.
The person's not gonna be like, stop loving me. Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, they might not receive it. They might not open up and receive it enough, and then it's kind of like maybe eventually you have to stop doing it because you're just putting out your own energy. But
when you don't have to tell me you're doing it either.
right, yeah.
I mean,
and the thing is, like when you're doing something like a prayer, that goes to God. That's a universal thing, so it doesn't really take energy away from you. So we're gonna do a class on the second book and the third book because there's so much more. It's even more juicy, actually. Second and third book. And, but check them out,
there's
man.
so much. There's so much, especially in the third book. I really check them out. I mean, they're just there's so much
Do you have that too
integration.
when you read the books? Do you feel really tired? Like you have to sleep?
Yeah, well,
I have
that's
to
what I
sleep
mean.
a lot. Like you just think that you sleep and
Yeah.
I didn't have that so much. I went through a lot of years of meditating and sleeping, but I did actually have to like go do stuff sometimes. Like I would read a chapter and then I'd have to go swimming or something because I couldn't like keep reading because I had to integrate what I
We
was
were trying to
reading.
read these books faster
Yeah.
because there's other people that we wanted to pass them on to.
Yeah.
But you just, I mean, they're not that big a book when you look at them. No,
Yeah, and
but
I'd be like,
third
Jan,
is
I'm almost done with it. No, sorry.
because it's just
It's gonna be a
so
little
much
longer.
to integrate into yourself. That
And they said they're really grateful to the light workers that have been working on stuff for a long time. Like, a lot of us have been doing stuff for a long time, and it does do something. It does have an effect, and you just don't feel it all the
Yeah.
time. But yeah, the other cities inside the Earth, we kind of, there's Shambhala, there's Oseed, is how you say that? Oseed. Shunshi or something. Sounds kind of Native American. Rama. That's an Indian one. Shingwa. And then there's Incas under Machu Picchu. There's probably more, too. And No other questions? So we will do a couple other classes, and they probably won't be. They'll probably be a little bit more than $4. Because we're gonna do a lot of work actually, but then we want to have these ascension meetings eventually, sometimes too, to do little rituals that they put out in the books, and I want to do little seven flame meditation things too. Classes.
Thank you guys for doing it.
Yeah. Oh, did somebody want me to do the seven flames real fast? The mind of God is Sunday. That's the flame of the mind of God. If you guys want to write down like the days, you don't have to. Monday is the will of God, the blue flame. So it's light yellow on Sunday. Love, divine love on Tuesday. Pink or red. What I think about them too are kind of the third Wednesday is the green emerald flame of healing. It's also Mercury in the Vedic system too, green. And Mars is on Tuesday, which is red. That's funny. Mars and love. Thursday is the resurrection flame. You can do a lot with your cells with resurrection flame, gold or orange. There's different masters for your flame too. Friday is the ascension flame. You can invoke you can even just mention the flame to yourself, even if you don't know what it is. You can just be like, I invoke the ascension flame because it's Friday. See what happens. Because they're all flames of gods. They're not gonna do something bad for you
But they're all in that book, right?
unless it's like too much, maybe like you get overwhelmed. But I don't.
Yeah.
On Amazon.
Well, the first one we got in Chasta, but then the volume 2 and 3 I just got on
You can get them all on Amazon.
The ascension
And
flame is
I got this
crystal white light. Friday ascension, and Saturday is violet flame transmutation, which changes everything from bad to good, negative to positive, all that stuff.
Can I talk to you after this?
Yeah, sure. No. I don't talk to people, no. Okay.
Thank
you.
very much.
Grazie.
So
That's why I didn't.
I have other books on Shambhala, but I don't have.
So how did you guys know so much? Have you read all the books already, or do you
I'm
channel
from
them?
Lemuria. I have, I remember my lifetimes there.
Uh-huh.
And
how do you
I'm-
know that?
I started on my path through a crystal and experienced all kinds of different things, and now I'm a reader, I'm an energy worker, I do all that kind of stuff, and most importantly, when you connect with your soul, what you do is you're opening yourself to all of the intuition about yourself. So what happens is you start remembering your past lives. So you don't have to read a book. You don't have to ask anybody else. You just connect with yourself and you know. And that's what all these lifetimes are about trusting yourself and the information that you get. But you have to start developing that to where you know to listen to yourself instead of going to a class to hear other people. Like when I come here just to like meet new people and see like the vibrations of different people coming to the classes so that I can see like where people are at and how open they are. Michael.
Michael, I'm
Yeah.
Sharon.
Hi Sharon.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. But yeah, what happens is once you start dabbling in some of these things, the reason why you guys are here is because you are from Lemuria. I mean, take that and do whatever you want with it, but when you start owning that and you start calling in your guides and you start listening to your intuition, and do you guys know about intuition? The difference between your thought, exactly. or it's the thing that you get first. It's not a thought. Linear thought is a linear process, whereas intuition just comes in with a bang. Yes. And you usually feel it in your body very strongly. So once you understand what your senses are, like mine is goosebumps. Like I know that's my truth. If somebody says something, I get goosebumps. Woo! That's my truth. Okay, I didn't know it up here, but I feel it in my body. So once you start opening up to your intuition and you start communicating with your guides will tell you everything, and then you'll actually have memories. Like I have literal memories of understanding all those things that I never read a book. I never went anywhere, but all of a sudden I got that information, and then I go somewhere and somebody confirms it, or somebody says, "Oh, did you read in this book that this?" And I'm like, "No, I just got that information." So it's kind of like a confirmation to trust yourself even more and more. So that's kind of what I do. So when you start opening yourself up to them, what you talked about in the very beginning is our removal from our soul, right? Which creates a lot of fear. We're actually very fearful of our power. And so what happens is we self-doubt ourselves, we don't trust. But as you start to trust a little bit, and one of my favorite ways to trust yourself is like, say like for instance, you know what, I can create anything I want to create. So in the next week, I'm going to find a random feather. Okay? And all of a sudden, like I know it sounds so stupid, right? Yeah, and so, yes, and so that what happens is all of a sudden you find that random feather and you're like, oh my god, that's so cool. Well, that was just a hoax. That was just a coincidence, right? There's no such thing as coincidence. So what happens is you start to build those brain pathways that make you believe that you can do what you need to do. And so it makes you start believing yourself more and more and more. So the more you play with it, the more you're able to just have those memories. But the easiest way is before you go to sleep, right before you're about to fall asleep. You know when your body just starts to really relax and you feel like you're on the edge of going to sleep? Just say, I invoke my angels or my guides to come in and show me some experiences. And if you do that, like a week and a half, sometimes you'll get it right off the bat. But if you just do it and be patient with yourself, I promise you will have memories of whatever it is that you're needing to remember on a soul level to bring you more growth. That's just how it works. I actually have had I've had a past life with you, and that's why you're remembering. It's not in this lifetime, but it's a past life. Yeah. So, good job. So you're trusting that gut. You just know, right? And you actually are very intuitive, and you're going to be opening up to your oracle gifts. So.
I just started learning about this 2 weeks ago.
I know. You're on the fast track, though, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you know nothing and then all of a sudden you decide to wake up.
I had a week where
It's fine because you
everything
just get your basic
that
energy
happens,
structure, like
how
how you interact with people.
Awesome.
That's exactly, yeah.
And I have stigmata now.
Yep. Yep.
It's marks of Jesus.
Yeah.
Like that.
Mhm.
That's so cool.
Like,
So that was a
where,
past life?
Yeah, look at his hands.
like
Yeah.
I have stigmata where this is the which line is this in your reading? It's
You need to know.
Wait,
That guy?
Those dots?
Yeah.
This wasn't there a
No.
couple weeks ago?
That's right.
I actually tried to commit suicide afterwards they showed up.
So you
But
need to know,
it's like your destiny line is the middle one.
Birth time.
And what's funny is on this line,
like what it's
it comes from the dot out.
like I was
And this one it's the shadow of the dot, but this is on my
Yeah.
faith line.
Cool.
Yes,
Until you
it
get
is.
this one.
Do you know why?
and where you were born.
Because I trust it.
Good job. Good job. That's awesome. Good for you.
Before I even
See how that works? I mean, honestly, life is so amazing and creative and like just mind-blowing when you open yourself up. You know what I mean? When you open up your mind and your heart, literally amazing things starts happening for you. So just continue with that because
Seeing
you were
numbers and
like,
drawing sacred geometry
Yep.
spontaneously.
Yeah.
I've read that. So I've been online and I checked out those stories because when I got the
It's
information
infinitum,
about like
but
regression,
it
I was like,
expands
oh, I
out,
better
like,
check this
it's
out.
like the very center is
Yeah,
like the
it was like
first,
it was more like an
it's
in
the
between
Big Bang,
regression,
Yep.
really,
essentially,
mostly, but
and like everything vibrated
it's
out
called the
of that.
flower of
Yeah.
life. Did you know that?
No.
I mean, I did one with
It's
her.
very,
and I
it's like one of the most
It's
Yeah,
but it's
I
the very
did
center
supporting,
of the
yes.
seven.
One with
It's
her, I did
because
it
this
with
is
her.
the
Okay.
Star of David's a
But I did
three-dimensional.
regression
Yep.
with my core
And like from the very center, that's what I was drawing with this.
Yep.
Is,
That's
that's the
British accent. I can't even
You
think
guys
of
can
Wow.
Google it,
That's
Flower
what
of
you
Life
did?
on the internet. It's just,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
did
everywhere.
recorded
When
it.
you first
Yeah.
started,
So
before you
perfect.
got all
It
these
was like-
outer
Oh,
lines,
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
when we
That's
taught a
awesome.
class a few
Yeah,
days
with
ago,
Marcel, it's more
and
usually
had a
you're just up there
diagram
with
on
guides.
the board,
You're not quite
and
So let's start with
that
her
was
necklace.
very
Just
similar.
Yeah.
Infinity.
Yeah.
And like
Okay.
I was doing stuff with numbers too, and it repeats the numbers do.
Yep.
Uh,
Because that's what
Yeah, I think
That
sacred
geometry.
I think it's
sacred geometry
and
and
the
numbers
Axiomaria.
and mathematics and all that kind of stuff is
I was
all
working
really-
with the numbers, and it's like the lotus is the picture that I was making. And when I was doing it with this one, I was going this way with it instead of out. And like it's like a drop in the pond, but the ripple comes out, and like it just keeps going like in a straight line
Yeah, I've done
each direction. But
Right.
like if you divide
That's my favorite.
this number by 4, it's 24. If you divide 24 by 4, it's 6. Like it's the axiomaria, 1 into 2, 2 into 3, and out of the third comes the fourth.
Cool.
I don't know if
So why is that so? I don't understand why that's so special.
it started with me with these numbers.
Yeah,
right
here
here, the 7, 11, 24,
You just
27,
wrote them awesome.
6, and it came to me like
That's
in
his
my head.
intuition
Well, I
speaking
mean-
to him, so he's going to figure out what all those things mean from a very right brain perspective, even though he's using his left brain to write it. Because numbers are tied to the left brain, whereas your right brain is your soul and your
That's what
connection
they
to all
were
that. So
saying,
he's
was
going to
that
be
there's all
figuring
these
all this
sound
out
technologies
through a
that people
very
have now.
Yeah.
They should have by now.
It's
left
yin
and
yang,
yes, it's left and right brain, yin and
which is the
yang,
6 and the 9,
God and
which is
goddess.
the
That's
last
exactly
two
it.
numbers in this. Which,
Yep.
If you add up 7, 11,
Yeah,
24,
but yeah, we were
27,
there
it
at the
equals
same
69.
weekend. That's
Yep.
crazy.
But
Where did you
really
sit?
weird.
Where did
Six
you
and
sit?
nine,
numbers.
yeah.
But this is 6
we
separate
were
numbers,
at
not
the
5 numbers, because
like,
it's 6 and then
Quality
9.
Inn
Yep.
or something. And,
Yep.
and,
It's exciting, isn't it? Isn't
Yeah.
it cool?
So
If
were-
you
okay, we were in Chester, we were
wanna
at the Best
contact
Western,
me.
that little
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Yeah,
Those are my
so we were
cards.
like, and that crystal shop
Sure.
is the one that
You guys
call
have
is the
fun.
one on
It's
the left
exciting
side of the
stuff.
street.
Oh,
It
yeah,
really is
the,
exciting.
the
So if you
complete
remember
puzzle
nothing,
section,
just
yeah.
remember to play around with like
Well, the problem is
the
there's stairs in there.
synchronicities of
And they
life and
plug
just
in.
expect that everything
See, that was
cool
my
is going to start
experience. I was
unfolding
like,
for you.
oh, God.
Well,
They were
Especially
like,
you.
they're
Thank
like,
you for
"If
sharing
try
One
this,
thing
we'll
before you go,
help
2
you
weeks
with
ago on
money."
Saturday, I was living in Reading,
Mhm.
and on
So
Saturday's the day of transportation.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's when I moved back down here. I'm from here originally.
That's actually transmutation, and the reason why you're doing that is because
it's
you're
the
also
Alpha and Omega, it's
out.
the beginning of the end.
What'd you say?
It's Alpha and Omega. It's beginning. It's
Correct.
The beginning's at the end.
Yeah. Do you know about transmutation?
Yeah.
You
You should probably Google
makes
it
sense why
for
you would
alchemy
result.
and transmutation
It makes
because
sense
that's
why you would
also
result.
what you are
But you're-
completely immersed
you're
with,
more Atlantean
which
than-
is.
Yeah, and
What
I didn't
she
know.
does.
People are
I mean,
like,
I do all of
and I
that
didn't know
stuff,
they were
but
in-
that's
they were in
another
Brazil.
part for
And
you.
because when I go
So
to
just
Brazil,
Okay.
Google it.
Transmutation.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
transmutation
Well, I
and
changed,
alchemy.
like,
Did you
my
write down
gut self.
alchemy?
I
Because
mean,
that's
after
the
2 weeks,
key word.
you can't recognize
Alchemy
me.
is a
I'm
whole
like,
is
"Come on."
turning
Turning
lead
base
into
stone
gold.
to get back here.
Correct.
Any metal into
I'm just done
gold.
working out.
And really, what it is it's not the
And
metal
again,
to
they're
gold.
so-
That's
they're so
that's
heart-centered.
just the way
The
that they're
physical
explaining,
way.
but it's the physical into the higher vibrations. So yeah, and you've done that in past lives with me, so that's why I wanted to.
Okay.
So have fun, guys. Have fun. Nice meeting you. Thank you so much.
It's
It
nice
was so
seeing
nice
you
to
again.
have you.
She's so sweet. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that was really cute.
Bye.
Yeah, this is the only book I'm reading.
My book
It's the only book I'm reading right now. So cool.
Okay.
took me a while to remember
No, that's fine.
what I had.
In your card I have
Yes.
massage. I need massage too.
Yeah. Here, let me give you some.
Sure.
Three. And this is kind of. I need to redo this. It's very confusing, but
No, don't worry about it.
I don't like it the way it's confusing.
You're a perfectionist, I can tell.
Yeah, a little bit.
Ever since I found this book, I just read it and I don't look at any other books. I mean, other books. Like, I can read a book in like a day, like 4 hours. I could just, because I don't watch TV or anything. So I read them like
Yeah.
that. But I always go back to this one. This is the only book that I'm like,
Maybe that's all you need right now.
Hi, honey. So yeah,
Yeah, maybe that's all you need right now.
we go back to the 7 foot dude. Yeah, they're like 7 foot. They're up to
I
like
saw
12
one.
feet.
Did
Yeah.
you? The first time I went to Shasta, I was with somebody who sees a lot of stuff. So
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
because I was in her energy field, I was more
That is
like,
hot.
Yeah, so I was like sitting there with her, and we actually
Oh.
saw a Lemurian and a dwarf, but in like the what do you call it? The bear cafe.
Oh,
The Black
Black
Bear
Bear
Cafe.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because we saw Lemurian. I mean, mostly there's a lot of Americans in there, you know.
Yeah.
And as we were going out, we saw a little dwarf guy too. But the Lemurian,
Wow.
I had this. That was my first experience with Lemurians because I didn't know anything about them actually. But I looked at that guy and I was like, whoa! Like, I almost like went over to that guy like.
You know, it's cool. Do you remember they have that body? You have your own like body double. Do you remember reading that about your own?
You're
like,
in different dimensions, like one.
No, you have it. Your own like your own like body double image that actually is smaller than you. It's always with you. So.
Is that like that thing where you can like travel through dimensions of space to like different port? Like it's like.
Like a shadow self?
No,
you
no,
have
you're
another
always.
part of yourself.
I'm trying to think of where I read it. Like I read so much. I know I read it in here. But you have an actual body, like a double that's smaller than you, and it's always with you.
So are you
And
thinking
so-
the dwarf is part of the Lemurian that you saw?
That's what she reminded me of. That it just is like.
They
Trying to
said at the
think
beginning
of
of
how
that book that there are dwarfs that are in the fourth dimension because they were persecuted by people, so they asked the Lemurians if they could
Get out of
the
here.
fourth dimension. Yeah.
And so you have to be nice to your.
Every child.
It's not in your child. It actually looks like you, but it's smaller, and it stays with you. And
Yeah. And this guy, this dwarf guy, he was like totally seemed like that whole story to me. 'Cause he was kind of like, like stay out of my way.
Wow.
And he was a little bit weird. His arms were really long, and he was a little weird looking. But the Lemurian guy, it was like hard to put your eyes back to where you're supposed to. It was like that, and the guy was like, he would totally recognize me and was like, all like, and I was like, he was in normal clothes and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
He was just visiting.
He can shapeshift or make himself whatever
Yeah.
you could see.
So
He looked like a lumberjack?
No, he didn't look like a lumberjack. He looked like a really, like, tall, awesome model, like a blonde model.
Slim.
Like he's a North, yeah, like he's like a Swedish person maybe, yeah.
Oh.
I had this feeling that like I saw someone not from our place. Like she looked really primitive, like with her features and everything. She had a really broad face with the high cheekbones. Like, is it possible that I actually did see someone like that? And like I was talking to her, and we were walking together for the longest time, and then like, it was the next day that I saw her again, and I'm like, do I know you? And she just kind of looked at me and then walked by me, and then like kind of just did like this after she walked by me, like not sure where she was going.
Yeah, no, that you gotta trust yourself actually, because it's for your intuition if you have that feeling.
Felt like she was.
Yeah, you're totally right. There's tons of people also walking around that are incarnated here, but they're not originally from here. Like this is their first time on the planet.
Or there's whole different subjects. There's one lady that I follow on Facebook, and she's a walk-in.
Yeah, there's that too.
Is that Marilyn Harper or somebody
That's
else?
what I was trying to think of. Like, the walk-ins, that's where they come in
What's
from.
her name?
different-
I'm like really
They
blank
come
right
into
now.
a body
She's,
and they
um,
didn't have it. But okay.
Marilyn
they
has
didn't have the body when they were
classes on
so
walk-ins.
She channeled. She's
they're
like, I don't
the
have a father.
conference.
It was really weird. I was like,
They
what's her
actually
name?
like join a body at a later date
I haven't been on Facebook.
that wasn't their birth.
Is that like what?
There's not very many walk-ins. It's a little bit. I don't like to confuse people too much. But
Well, no, because like
It's very
my introduction to this like started on the 21st of last month.
Oh my.
It's
was
okay.
Sunday.
I'll think of it.
That's
I can see her
You're having a
face
very
and
fast
everything.
tutorial,
She doesn't want to
you're already here.
Yeah, I'm
What's her name?
This is a lot of
every
stuff.
single
in this
day I'm
area?
doing something more
No, I
related
think
to
she's in
Yeah.
Newfoundland.
I just felt drawn to
she's,
here, so I
she's
did.
not. She's
But,
not
Awesome.
official.
You
What's her
keep
name?
following that. Keep following your.
The 21st
does
was a
a lot
Sunday
of-
and it was my dad's birthday.
Uh-huh.
I'm like reminded of father.
I can email you the
Oh, yeah.
information if you're interested. She does
Monday,
a lot of
I
work
tried
with.
to commit suicide, but I couldn't.
She does a lot of
die.
work with. Oh, that's my
Okay.
brain shutting off.
Tuesday.
Oh.
I just felt like an
Okay.
overwhelming sense of like peace and calm and like love for everyone.
Okay.
Just, like,
I know
was
that,
looking at
they're
people and just, like,
that
I
was
couldn't
my
help but
slogan
smiling
too.
at
The
her.
Did you feel
Pelagians, like she's
I
a
felt like
really
she
calls
had
herself
left
a
my body,
Pelagian
like,
delegate.
was in
and
their
she's-
consciousness.
I
But
think
you
that's
feel
where
like the
I'm
same
from.
person
Okay,
now.
I can send you
feel
information because they're really
Okay.
good.
I
They're
feel
No, I
all
feel like
they're,
the same person you were
she does
before.
donation
No, I feel
free.
Like the
away.
same
What's her
soul.
name?
I feel
Yeah, give me your
But
email
awake.
and I'll send
Yeah.
you that. The
Like-
Pelagian delegate.
I feel like I was walking around
Laura-
like, blind, like I see connections and things
Yeah.
now. Like
Not
Yeah.
Joy.
like,
Joy.
the movies, like,
No, she's platinum blonde and
it's
she's.
all like the same thing. To
For
like,
me, I know
religion, it's
different
all the same
Pelagians,
thing,
and
it's just some
I mean, I know
perception
what
of
I'm
it.
trying to
Yeah.
think. You can write down
Do
your
you feel
email. Send it to you. My name is Ella, so.
Ella, nice to meet you.
And your name is
Sharon.
Sharon. Hi, Sharon.
Like when
Yeah.
you're doing your
So-
You seem to know an
acting,
awful
like,
lot
yeah, you
about
feel
Laura-
like kind of
well, she calls
almost
herself
like
Laura
some part of
Pelagian.
you that's just
That's her name, so you can look
what you're doing,
independently,
like,
but I'll also email you the link.
a
I'll email you
neutral
one of
part
her
you that
things.
is always
Laura.
Pelagian,
no matter what you do.
like Pelagian delegate. She calls herself Pelagian
Yeah.
delegate.
I'm really like sensitive.
Oh,
to
I have
people's
her.
energies, which I just learned that
I'm,
I
like,
was,
wondering-
Yeah.
everything that,
Why am I
I grew up
Yeah, I know.
learning
I
was
fell
that I
into
wasn't supposed to be.
spirituality through a breakup.
Oh wow. Well, I'm sorry.
No, it was great.
good, I
It was
guess.
really, it was a
Like,
really
all this
wonderful
stuff that I-
experience. I didn't even realize it, and
Wednesday was
developed
there's Bethel Church in Reading, which was where I was living. at the time.
a frequency of light transmission,
Yeah,
mirror
it was Saturday
protection,
when I went there.
miracles.
Day of transmutation. But anyways,
She has love
that's why I was,
frequency.
like, smiling when
She
you're
has
saying
light
stuff
body
like-
frequency.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you
miracles frequency.
some stuff to do actually.
okay. And like I have
Right.
stigmata now,
Yeah.
and this is my faith line
Delicate.
through
Mhm.
Destiny Light or something like
Higher.
that. Where it comes
Activation.
from.
Do you have
Is that
an
what
iPhone?
It doesn't
I
I
don't
was
right
gonna
now.
say I'll just beam you over one of them.
I know
on this
how.
hand,
In time.
where
Working on
there's,
it.
like, a shadow of it, but
Laura
that's not
Pelagian,
faith line,
Pelagian
right?
delegate, and I will.
Where, like, the
I
stigma
still
is
will
that, is all
email
faith
you
line.
some things. So
Yeah.
at least
Thank
you
you.
have that. You're welcome. And she's
So
There's a connection
very
there.
powerful. And the lady that I work with in Australia, she
So what you want to do is
she's another good one. She has healing embedded in her voice.
right now.
Wow.
Because you need to integrate it.
And
Yeah.
so when
That's
she
good.
talks to you,
Because
she can't wear a hat.
it's
It's like
like
source
once
energy
you
because
get
it's
all
so
that
hot.
energy,
So when she talks to you,
it's
she'll
like you
blow
get
you out of the
extra
sky.
energy
People,
you
she
didn't
does
have
like
before,
Oh my
and
she
gosh.
does
you can kinda,
like interviews, like
really
get to know you
busy and crazy
interview.
at
If you want to
first.
work with her, she does different things, healing.
This week when I was at
And
Bethany,
people are like,
there's things that
Wow.
you can tell in her name. You can write that down.
Good.
have like superhuman
Why is my mind so
where I
blank
have, like,
today?
6
Okay.
full-grown men at
Well,
the
her
same
name is
time.
L
Wow.
E L small L and then Mara M
Okay. Do
A
you
and then Ra El Mara.
communication with your
And her
guides?
website
Do you
is
feel like you
Glow
have,
Temple GLO
like you're able to
God Love
communicate
One
with your
GLO
guides?
and then
No, that's
Temple
why I'm
.com.
trying. That's why I've been coming
And
to
she
a lot of
has
these things, is so I
meditation.
can
She has
learn more
free
how to communicate
meditations
with
anywhere
people.
to like
Like,
You
10,000,
will.
25,000. She's really world renowned. Yeah, and she's powerful because when you want to heal, you need somebody that's gonna. I mean, she when she does high priced
how to
ticket
read
items, it's
messages,
because
numbers,
she's
like
giving you
angel
her all,
numbers,
and she's like,
Dorian Virtue,
you
like,
know,
downloading
it's
things.
hard on her.
It started with this series of numbers.
So you know,
and it's like being
she
in
literally,
like,
she's the
the
real deal. And my
7-Eleven,
other one,
24/7,
she's great. If you
Okay.
ever want like
I
another,
don't know
like,
that much about
so I'm like,
I just,
so
I started
I
talking
came
about,
into
like,
it, but
all this
Amara, she's
Yeah.
she's beautiful, and
what was
So-
it that I was supposed to do?
Go.
if you really want to accelerate and clear, that's the person that I would recommend. But everybody has their things, and she works together with the Pelagian delegate. They're friends. So
Like you don't want to just like.
I got
I'm
involved.
curious to know because I don't. All
Yeah,
I know is I was.
See what
I was
strong
kind
for
of told,
you.
oh, I think that's where you're from. So
I
I've been
know.
kind of curious.
I'm from the
where that
Pelagians.
comes
My
at.
heart,
Yeah.
my sister said I'm my soul. I'm Pelagian. My mother's from Andromeda, but I'm from the Pelagians.
Well,
She's like,
okay.
but I feel also the Atlantis connection. That's why.
Wow.
I mean, when I showed the
It was
book,
weird,
we went the
like,
same weekend.
they
I
didn't know
literally
we were
like,
talking
yeah,
about
I showed my mom. I was like, Mom, this is
Almost
look, like I was.
state
It was in the bookstore,
Felt like I
and
was
you know,
really
it's
far
just
away,
feeling. And
but, like,
this is, and there are other
I didn't feel
women,
my
there are other
body, but it
people.
was,
There's another woman
I
that
could hear what was
channels
going on around me, but I
Adama
couldn't keep my
and
eyes
the
open and
Lemurians, but
everything.
I
It didn't feel as
So,
good good as
that
this.
is
No, that one was
just
what I felt
because
good
we
with.
made all
And
this
so,
fast is all.
you know, that's that. But it's like the spiritual journey. It's like it was heartbreak, and I was healed. And the lady, she literally, I could feel my heart being healed, just the energy from her hands. And then I sing about the woman Elmara, is she'll teach you how to heal yourself.
Right, and that's she
So
skipped over
that's
that
so
part
important.
on her chart. Carl said something, but he didn't. Giving away your power.
I gave away my
truly
power for
feel
years.
that,
I gave away.
You don't just go to the doctor and go, fix me, I'm broken.
I
You
spent
totally
thousands.
need to keep that power yourself and say, help me to know what to do.
Yeah. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars over the years, like, you know, and it was good for like a couple days, but then it's like, comes, you know, your shit comes back, so, yeah.
And that's why when you heal the core belief, it won't come back.
You have to heal it.
You have to go all the way.
But you don't know, and we've lived so many different lives. We've been men, we've been women, and I also like what Marcella, are you familiar? That she trained with Brian Weiss, and I've read a lot of his books and everything like that, and it just resonated. But
did you do a past life with her?
I have done one. I've done one.
How did that work out?
Well, I was going to be a flight attendant in Europe. I was going to go for Lufthansa in Germany.
Wow.
But I had a fear of flying.
Oh my gosh. Did you go to another class and tell your story? Because it sounds kind of familiar to me.
No. So I had a fear of flying, so I went with Marcella, so the fear of flying was gone. But when I was at the airport, this changed my life because it made me like, because I was kind of like, I used to work, but now I've been kind of like in this, I mean, I help my mom out, she does aesthetics, but I've been kind of like, where am I supposed to be, and haven't really earned a lot of money in the past couple of years. But I was at the airport ready to go to Lufthansa. I went through all the hoops, you know, the final thing was come and we're going to, you know, interview you.
Wow.
And I was living in Germany for a short time when I applied, but I was like, you know, I'm going to just come and hang out with mom because I'm going to be going back. So I was at the airport and I remember, like, 'cause I love Brazil. Like, nobody can talk me out of that. They've tried. So I was at the airport and my flight was going to Amsterdam first, and then it was going to Stuttgart, where I was supposed to go. And then, and I was getting ready, and I remember the flight. I remember the flight before my flight. It was like Rio de Janeiro. There's the whole airport in Atlanta. Of all the flights that could have gone before my flight, it was a flight to Brazil.
And you're like, oh.
And I was having kind of second doubts, you know, because the only reason I wanted to do Lufthansa really was because I wanted to fly to Brazil. I saw that they had a route, you know, I was going to Brazil. So, but I got to work. So, I got to the front, and I don't know if somebody was trying to scare me, but it was a male voice, and it was really super loud. It was like, don't get on the plane, it's not safe, it's not safe. And I was like, so, you know, so normally, you know, I would get on a plane, it's not a problem. But I didn't have a fear of flying per se, because I've been flying. I mean, my family's international. I've gone to 15. I've gone 15 countries. I've gone all over the world. I started frequent flying when I was little. It's that major turbulence, you know, major, like clear when the plane's going whoosh. It's like, I'm like, help me, get me vodka or something. I don't even drink anymore. So I heard this voice, and I didn't get on, and I didn't know what to do because it's like, don't get on. And you know, at the time they had hurricanes, you know, kind of in the background too, and I knew that, but I didn't know. But I didn't get on the plane, and I didn't know what to do. The lady's like, well, why didn't you get on your plane? So I went, and I was like, well, you know, you have the last call, and we're going to get a hotel for you, whatever. The hotel was free, everything was free, everything was taken care of. They got, everything happened. They got me a ticket back to Sacramento, and I was like, wow. I don't know why that happened to me. So I was in Sacramento, and I met Facebook people and most of the spiritual people I know, because I struggle. I try to blend with American, but my parents are German. But all the spiritual people, you know, more in Europe, you know, Germany, things like that internationally. But I just started getting really spiritual, and all I did was read, and I was like, maybe that's a sign or whatever. So I've been on this journey.
Oh my God.
So
the plane was okay?
Yeah, the plane was okay, but you know, but there was a shady guy that I was in touch with that I met over the internet. You have to be careful, but I don't know. I just think, and I didn't know that. I just think that maybe it wasn't my path, and they were trying to stop me from not following my path. Because if they,
why'd they wait that long?
I don't know. So I don't know. You know, source works in mysterious ways. So So
my friend Rory Goff.
But it was beautiful. It was. I mean, it came and it's like my mom used to be my daughter in a previous life, and so my mom, you know, people say I used to eat like French dip roast beef sandwiches with my other spiritual teacher, and I just, for some reason, and I don't, like, I mean, I don't tell people what to eat, but I just stopped wanting to eat meat. It was so strange. And people are like, why? I don't know. They're like, because the animals. I'm like, I love animals, so that's not why. But, and so my mom became totally vegetarian because of me, because I'm still staying with her, and she became totally vegetarian.
Do you feel lighter?
I feel really a lot lighter, and I go to the bathroom 2 or 3 times a day. It's easy to, you know, not. And for instance, my brother still eats meat, so we went out. There's no, you know, try to be cool with places, and we went out to Benares. I celebrated. Took him out to Benares' birthday. I was like,
there's
a couple things I can eat.
And so what we did is there was a special with a Thai salad. It was with, you know, mango and avocado and, you know, cabbage and all that stuff. And it was on top was, you know, steak.
Okay.
And so what I did is they said we
Have
can't
some
eat.
steak.
So they just put it on the side, and I let my brother eat it. It's fine. I don't. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I've been with some people that are like,
it's
get
just
that off. I'm like, no, it didn't hurt you, you know.
Right.
So yeah, it's the different
When I used to
spiritual
do lots of
things.
spiritual work,
And,
I would like get really
I've looked at
hungry.
lots of
That's a
different,
common-
like I've read so many
You get
different
really
books
hungry,
from
obviously,
Doreen.
a lot.
Started with
It's
Doreen
all good.
Virtue
And
way
exercise
back,
is good
and
too,
Michael
so-
Weiss, and just you name it. And I just, because I read really fast, like I can read a book like in 4 hours. I'm
Oh my
like,
gosh.
yeah, I just
I read
absorb
really
it.
slow.
My mom does too. So I'm just like,
Absorb it.
yeah. My
Definitely,
mom's like, I'm
because that's
absorbing to do whatever you guys.
integrate your
So,
experience
really,
into your body so
only-
that you can actually live
See for
this
yourself.
out
Only
instead
book
of
you
just,
really
like,
you can read the Telos.
have
The
these
only
crazy
book you need is the
experiences
7 Sacred Flames. It has
go
everything in
back
there,
to
and it's
something
just
else.
like, and it's so pure. If you read it, you'll notice that it's pure
Yeah.
because they are
I know,
pure.
it's
They are
awesome.
so
Meetup is awesome. And
non-judgmental,
talking
without
to people,
ego,
like,
and
being
pure.
around the
So
other people
Yeah, I read the
that
first
have
book, but I
experience
haven't
is
read
really
the other
important.
two.
the 7.
When she showed me the flame book, it reminded me of some books that they had at the Rosicrucian in San Jose
Yeah.
that were based on masonry.
Oh
And-
yeah.
And I think once you get to be a mason, you do all that stuff, and then you can apply to be a Rosicrucian.
Yeah.
And they have flames and colored rays, and I'm like, that's
I think it's kind of similar. So, I mean, I always tell people, for me, this is like my mom's like the same, but it's like we are all so unique. So whatever resonates with you and whatever's with your heart, you do that. You don't listen to anyone else, whatever. So for me, it's like that's why I mean with spiritual kind of get-togethers and gatherings, it's like everybody has their own ideas, and I'm just kind of like,
you can have more of that experience.
okay, that's good, but it just doesn't work for me, but that's fine, you know. But yeah, I love it because it's the Temple of Love, and this is the nice thing. Like she was saying, they like you can go to the Jade Temple. I think he's hot, but that's besides the point.
And Saint Germain, I think I had a picture of him
Yeah,
there.
Saint
Right
Germain
now
is
his
in
eyes
here.
are
It's
just-
so
I
blue.
could stare at his eyes.
This is Hilarion.
Yeah.
Hilarion is kind of he teaches those that have been kind of they're a little bit
Right, and I didn't see it, but
they feel betrayed or
very
misled
common story that I get.
from
I visited
spirituality
a
or
town of
spiritual teachers. He
people that
kind of
all
takes
got
them
together
under their
to
wing.
meet, that all
But
had everything
Saint
to
Germain's
talk about. So it was like really.
and they have all the different
Yeah,
affirmations.
we talked about a lot of stuff. That's why you
Which
go
are nice.
watch videos
Yeah.
of Roy and Dan. I think. Also,
And maybe that's who I saw.
my
He
friend
reminded me of a
Peter,
picture I had seen of Saint
he's
Germain.
so good at guiding people.
Saint Germain's very
Let me
cool.
write
I like
down
him.
his name.
And I'm pretty sure
Watch
he's
this.
7th grade.
Yeah. Buddha as a guest.
There we go.
Master
My
Saint
friend.
Germain.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is
It's very just calm.
kind of a silly
Peaceful.
boomer dude that does this.
And then they show like the main God qualities in here,
Okay.
and
But
going
he
up the
interviews-
7th
he
grade, and
interviews
like
all
where the
different
retreats
like-
are.
Okay.
This is in
All
Wyoming, and
different
I've driven
who've
through
had
Wyoming,
spiritual
and I've
people.
been
I actually haven't interviewed
liked
one
it, and I never knew why. Like I liked it. It's so peaceful, and they have the horses.
compared to,
and-
like,
yeah, I've done
you
things
know,
like drive in a day to have to Chicago for
Oh
Sacramento.
my
But
gosh.
you'll get a good idea. Actually,
I've done a
Do
lot
you
of
get a
things.
feeling from one of these
because my
places,
experience
or
probably-
just
I love
because?
Wyoming. I
probably
think it's
did relate to
beautiful.
it,
I've been
it's
all
like-
through the United States when I was little.
Wow. See, I'm
when you're
not really
not
traveled.
like
So was there anything
having
about
all
Sedona
these
in
extra-
Arizona?
I
you
haven't been
probably
to
had a little bit more
Sedona.
going on. Actually,
I've been like to around the Grand Canyon area, but that was when I was little. But Sedona, of course, is you know, it's a portal as well for a lot of life. And if you like Shirley MacLaine, have you read her book,
I have not
Aging?
read it.
Aging and what's her name? Her book.
Because
It's
he's a
called,
friend of mine, and
Aging While Saging. It's very good.
He's like always
She,
available.
She talks about, I think she has a place in Sedona, and she's
Okay.
connected to a lot of things, and people are
Yeah,
like, whatever, you know.
And
But she's very cool. So
72,
yeah,
so it's kind of like
um,
awesome just to have like an older person
and
that's like
then
got the
there's-
same experience as you and can tell you, and he's very like
this is Adama. You see a
comforting,
picture
you
of
know?
him?
I saw the
So
black and
beautiful,
white.
huh?
Over again,
That's
but it's
lovely.
like, thank God he says this.
Wow.
over
And he's
over
so,
again. So you
so,
memorize them, you're like, oh, that's why he says that over and over again. You know, he goes, it's Teflon coated. It's free
so
fall
royal,
forever.
so
There's
nice,
no
so
getting attached
really
to anything.
Mhm.
serene, so
Regal.
pure.
No
Regal,
attachment,
that's
you know?
exactly,
Yeah.
so regal, that's
But,
the exact word I was looking for.
So there's
And I
lots of
couldn't
things
tell
goes
in
over
the other
again like
book.
that.
What is he
Good job,
holding?
you
Is that
crystal.
in kindergarten.
okay? I thought maybe it was a
Crystal.
key. Like, oh,
That's
maybe
what
that's
it's
the
like.
key to
It's
get
like-
into the
You're not like
place.
a master yet.
Okay.
It's just
I'll
you
send you
woke
something
up
on Laura.
and there's a whole new
She's-
world there.
Yeah.
It's like, you know?
Yeah.
So what is your spiritual
So,
journey been about?
and yes, special
Sharon?
Finding my
even TV
spiritual
shows,
journey.
it's really great.
Have you
Like,
been,
like,
is this
there's one
new
called
for you?
Dead Like Me, apparently.
Kind
It's
of.
very
Good.
similar to the
I mean,
Reiki
kind of.
experience.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
When I was
And like I've watched like
young,
TV
um,
a couple times.
my
just last
uncle would
2
come
weeks,
by
like,
and
Yeah.
teach
It's like
us
all
dowsing,
connected
you know,
to
with the
the same
pendulum
thing
and
that
Yeah.
everything else is
L rods
connected
and
to.
that
kind
It's
of
all
stuff.
based in that.
And so he was
Yes,
learning, and
yes.
every time he
And
would
then
come
you
to
know,
visit,
it's
he
You
would
are that
show us
thing.
what he'd learned
Yeah.
that it's
next.
connected to you. You are all
And
of
so
it.
I
So
kind
you are
of
the TV and you are
got
the visual.
Yeah, TV's like it's like
a desire to know about the mind-body problem, because I seem to have these like psychosomatic
Yeah.
disorders kind of thing, and it's like I know we can heal ourselves. We have the power
Yes.
to heal
Yes.
ourselves. I gotta
Yeah,
figure it
yeah.
out.
And that's the thing is going to happen to
So,
you all the time now. Is every time you turn the TV,
working
you're
with
gonna
the
see jump
belief
from
Flow
processes.
Temple, it's without the,
Yeah.
she'll help
talking
you
to
if
you.
you want, without the
Because
W.
Oh,
you
okay.
are not
Talk
Thank
to
you.
her, she can help
It's
you.
really awesome to have
Yeah.
you,
So
but
the
make sure to
closest thing
integrate
I've
it
come,
first.
you know, he was
Like,
a
don't get too
master
crazy with
dowser,
all
so
this
he
stuff
learned to
yet.
heal
Like,
people.
just make sure that you
I mean, I have this process that
physically
he did.
integrate your
He's gone now,
exercising.
and so
drinking
I'm
water.
thinking
nice.
I could probably
And
figure out
sleeping.
how to do
Yeah.
that.
Because
And
then
I feel like I'm
you're gonna
close,
have that
but I'm
experience
not
with you all
quite
the time.
there. And
It's not going to be
some
so
of the
extreme
belief
anymore.
processing
You know, it'll kind
that,
of integrate
like
into
Hillary
like
teaches
normal now. So it won't
kind
be
of
so
gets
like
to some of the same
overwhelming.
place that he
Yeah.
would get to with his
yes,
Yeah.
dowsing work.
yes.
But it's
Because
very
your vibe is
effective.
kind of like this,
Yeah.
you know, like woo.
So,
people get
My mom's
they
a good
actually go
pendler.
crazy
She
because of
pendles
that.
everything.
You don't
Mhm.
wanna
Yeah,
be
so
like,
some of the
thrown
people
off
around here
balance
don't know
like
how
that,
to
you know?
douse, but they're very intuitive, and I'm thinking, well,
yeah.
the only reason why I
When people's
could-
kundalini
well, I take
rises
that back,
too
but
fast.
I didn't quite understand like how to use my intuition and how this
Yeah.
worked.
Right.
Because I had
No, I know.
followed
And that's
the
why I think
instruction
you need
with
to
the
talk to Tom,
dowsing,
but I'm
I
gonna
understood
wait on
how to ask the
everything
questions
for you to just like
to
integrate
get
a
to
little
the
bit, and
creativity.
you've got names and you can look
Yeah.
stuff up
And-
online and everything.
Yeah,
you know,
no, definitely back then.
Otherwise, I would
Yeah.
just like sit here and think, okay, it's
Thank
gonna
you for
come to me,
everything.
and then
Yes,
have a
you're
blank
welcome.
slate,
It was
but then
fun
like
meeting
nothing
you.
would come because
Sure.
you're gonna ask the right questions to
Mhm.
get the right
Yeah.
answers.
Yeah.
So to try to pull it together. So I
We're
made.
hanging out.
Totally.
Learning.
Gee, that's foreign for us. So maybe I might be teaching some dowsing classes.
You should.
So,
Or a healing, any
You know what
type
I
of
mean?
healing. So,
Okay,
yeah.
I guess like he doesn't have these guys yet, but I'm like, you need to locate this guy in consciousness. Because
I love when there's young guys here. It's so cute.
I know, he was really interesting. I was wondering what his story was because he kept looking at his hands, and I'm like, is he praying? I don't know what he's
She knows
doing.
that.
So I was scared of him. It was just odd, just odd. I don't know.
You know, the younger generation, I'm not young anymore. Like, like
You're
Mom,
kinda
help me.
borderline there.
I'm like, Mom, help me. Mom, help me. I'm
Oh,
getting
so she's worried about
the young generation, like in their 20s, are very psychic.
Well, I
Very
figured that's why he
psychic.
was interested in the indigos or something.
Yeah, he's
because
very
maybe he was
psychic.
told he was an indigo.
Yeah, he probably is. Or, you know, they even have the crystal now, the rainbow children, and I, even though with my age I should be older, but I still consider
Yeah.
myself a crystal because I like sparkly
Yeah.
things usually.
And
Yeah.
there was a
Yeah. And he's obviously
procedure that we
very
did
angry
to
inside.
find out what our aura colors were.
Yeah.
And there was
Yeah,
an aura
when he
color
jumped,
for
that was a
the
pain.
indigo and the
Yeah.
crystal. And
I know,
she
but
was-
it was
and you have a
weird, though. It
primary
sounds
and
like
secondary. So yeah, she was
Mhm.
indigo
So-
and we were both
as that
crystal.
became-
You're crystal too?
I guess.
Oh,
I'm still trying to
that's
figure
so
it
cute.
out.
Are you crystal?
Yes.
I don't know if I am, but I'm always drawn. I'm not even like to the
Probably you are.
Really?
Probably
Yeah,
you
yeah,
are.
yeah. Because I like
Yeah, because I'm an indigo, and I don't feel
just
like
love
it
everyone, you
at all.
know.
I'm like, I'm an indigo, and
That's
different,
it. You're like,
you know?
I'm a rebel, though.
Yeah, but my boyfriend is,
That's cute.
I didn't realize this until I
It did
lived
his
for a
turn.
while, but
Really?
well, no, his aura colors are crystal, and mental tan. And I think
don't
what
know
happened
what
was,
aura colors are.
Hysteria, right?
I think what happened was the mental tan covered up his crystal, and I finally figured out that he's like this crystal tell to just put on this extra kind of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of them have put on extra things to kind of get by in the world.
Yeah.
So then I figured that out, and I was like, well, no wonder you're losing your keys all the time, man. And no wonder you're with me, because I
that
have had
what
other
crystals-
boyfriends that were crystals.
Crystals
so.
always lose their keys?
Yeah, there's
Oh,
like,
that's me.
I
My mom's like,
mean,
I'm like, she's like, where did you put them? I'm like, they walked away, Mom. I don't know where they're at. And it's just, you know, yeah.
I mean,
I don't know,
Indigo,
I tried.
I had a lot of stuff that I've lost too. I mean, but
I
I'm a
just
lot
think-
better with it now, and there's definitely a little bit more grounded. I don't know. There's a different feeling a little bit with the crystals.
Oh, there's a girl in Germany, and she writes. She's really sweet, and she's really sweet, and she's total crystal, whatever, and she's just, you look at her, and she's always like, hi.
Yeah, but that's my experience with you. Is that you're very.
I'm very calm
light,
tonight.
so-
I'm very calm tonight. If I'm like,
I went to
I'm
Fashion
sure you're a
for
crystal too.
today.
'Cause I'm starting to
I was
get
reading
feels
about
for
the-
what they feel like.
I was
Really?
reading
Yeah, I
about
don't know.
the blue
Jan,
dragons.
that's cute.
And
And
it's
my,
blue.
My
and
mentor
Yeah.
was a crystal, and he was
That's
always
so
like,
cool.
Isn't it cute?
Look at the sparkle.
"What? Where is
Have
it?"
you been to
You had a-
Planet
you had a
Rising?
physical
Oh,
guy.
it's really-
Where's that?
you had a
Folsom?
guy as a mentor. That's cool.
I've always never
Yeah,
heard of it.
he was
It's
my
in
boyfriend. It was
Folsom.
I've heard of it. I've never been.
It used to be in Rancho, but years ago they moved
But,
to
did he
like
transition?
Sutter Street in
Yeah.
Old
But
Folsom.
he,
Yeah.
he
Still
I love that
Yes, all
store.
the time.
They have everything.
That's
They
why
have
I don't-
psychics. They
that's why
have
it's weird
down.
because
Yeah.
I'm
I just
not like,
Thunder
oh, you're
Rising.
adamant about it. Like it actually.
Yeah, well, he's not. He's
They
he's
have
not
all
in physical
kinds of-
form, but
He
yeah,
actually
I guess.
became more useful in some ways.
Yeah, that's nice.
They have clothes. They have
That's nice.
crystals.
That's why I just
They
gave him to
have
that kid. I
everything.
just gave
And
him
I
to
got.
him because
I had lunch with
I
a
get
really
these
good
people
friend of
that are
mine
like
today.
Fun.
Yeah.
supposed to
was
be in
telling
contact
me
with
to
him
get this
actually.
crystal.
So I just tell him about him.
Because
Oh
she
my gosh,
said-
you could
she said,
talk to him.
This is a
Talk to us,
manifesting
try it out, you know.
crystal.
He was cute.
So
pretty.
she
He was
said
cute.
she
Like, I saw the
holds
movie.
it. She told me that that's the one I should
He
get.
just has
And
people
she says when I want to
last 2
manifest
weeks,
something,
so-
she
Oh, that's
holds
great.
it in her hand and makes
That's
your
great.
attention.
Yeah, you crystals
So-
have to have crystals too, because I
Yeah.
think that's like a whole thing with you guys.
Well, when
I
she,
do.
when
But
Sherry
I
told me
massaged
about
Jan,
this
I'm
one,
like, wow, you really need to have crystals,
So-
Jan. Like, I don't.
So when you massage, you see like the do you see people's
a little-
energy?
it's not like
So
the
I brought
same
my,
all the time. It's like
Yeah.
my stone.
well, see, her,
I get a lot of
Sherry's
intuitions
daughter,
and,
when
like,
she
feel
does,
things and stuff.
well, she doesn't
We'll
even
have to
call
sit
it
them
Reiki anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever she
I
does,
do the
on-
energy work the whole time,
She-
but it's more
she'll
like
yeah,
intention.
yeah.
It's
crystals
really
on
not
or
like
something.
it's not like
Yeah.
heavy energy. It's
Yeah.
not like Reiki.
Yeah, I
or
used to
But
get
she-
Reiki with Kalia Gabriel.
She's
and-
helped me also to
And
get rid
afterwards,
of
I was like,
my
better. I was
pain. I mean, it's amazing.
Can I just stay like this?
I
and she
cannot
also did
believe I
crystal
haven't-
bowl meditation.
I haven't
she
had
did,
any
you know, with the
fibromyalgia
I'm
pain.
so
and it
glad.
was
I've
just
been
like
raking you.
lining all the
Which
chakras.
was-
Because I-
Victoria, she told me to.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
And it was so,
Yeah,
so
good.
interesting
Well,
because
thank
I
you,
did
I
it for a long
appreciate
time.
it.
And
Yeah, everybody
one time
who
I
was in
swear
the
this
artist
guy,
class
like,
or
I
whatever,
should have
they
been
said,
upset. Like I was
"Sure."
going and that's
Yeah.
what
So
I
I
used
just
to eat
kind of
like
like
chilies. I was
added
eating
everybody
chilies
to
fast
this
food
group,
takeout.
and I just
And he was
shined
literally
the spotlight
touching
on
me,
it.
like, hey,
That's
hey,
cool.
trying to pick up on me.
yeah.
And, you know, somebody's touching you, it's
'Cause
not
I,
friendly.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's all good. Could you please stop touching me?
Yeah, no,
I'll
no,
do the
especially
chapter
crystals should
of-
have just something with
Telos 3.
Yeah.
And
Good.
I mean, a lot of people come to me
It's-
because they
yeah.
That's good.
so
That means
are
it's
not able
it's
to
getting
go.
in
so
deep.
A lot of
happy.
people, they kind of
I mean, it's
they
very
like
good.
tested. A lot of people come to me just because
It's
they
enough.
test
I
my
was telling
energy.
you,
They don't know who I am.
And that's
like,
part of the
Yeah.
prosperous
there's some
heart.
kind of
It's
intuitive
enough.
thing with my picture.
Yeah.
or
Read what
something.
you
So that's
can
why I
and-
put my picture and stuff.
When
It's
I,
very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have 3 in
So.
my car, so when I met Sherry for
They're
lunch, I
just
said,
so
you,
cute.
okay, you gotta order these books online.
Yeah,
And
that's
read 'em.
why I
And-
know that you're a Christian
Huh?
because you got that same kind of feeling as Jan.
What's that?
What?
You guys are just like really
Oh,
cute and
let's
fun
have
and
fun.
bubbly and like there's like this really light thing to you.
So she's gonna get them in
Yeah.
because I know
Also,
she
my
can.
ex
she
was an
can
indigo,
read 'em
though.
and
He was
just
right,
talk
quite
to them,
absorbent.
you know.
Yeah.
So I was wondering where
She's
Yeah,
the one that
I was
But he was
such-
sweet,
she's
very,
the one that
yeah,
has
he was a
no
rebel,
guilt.
like,
dreams.
but he was
Oh,
psychic,
nice.
And
very,
their visits.
super
That'd
It's
be
like
great
her
for her then.
best friend from
Yeah.
grade school.
And we,
that
the cool
they've
thing about us,
been
we
best
didn't have
friends
to like
since they were,
really
like, in
talk.
third
I get
grade.
that, so it's like, where can I find
she
him?
lives in the
I'm
Bay
just trying to
Area.
love myself, so I
And,
attract that.
Yes, that's right. Love yourself.
Sherry's mom died.
I've been doing self-love for a
Sherry
long
was
time now.
pretty
Where is
young,
it?
so
I do
Adita's mom was
manifestations
kinda like a
too,
second
mom
with
to her.
stuff like that. But
But Adita doesn't believe in a lot of stuff.
It's-
So anyway,
I mean, mean,
Um,
a lot of
Sherry
it is like if they've got any
told
beliefs
her,
in the
she
way.
said, I had a
you know.
visit
I don't know if
from
I
your
do. I
mom."
think I do. I think
So,
I do.
but
I'm
we
sure I
could,
do, but I'm
You know,
trying to like.
But Sherry said she
take
was in a
take my
house.
stuff
Have you
because
ever
we
been
would
have
do a
your stuff.
manifestation and then just
And,
like we would figure
and
out
Anita's
what
mom
was in the
showed her
way.
all around it.
Okay.
And if you needed to do a
And it
belief
was
process, I could do that later.
A couple of years
Okay.
later,
On whatever
Anita
was
bought
in
a
the way.
house
Yeah.
in the Bay Area.
That's a lot of what I do
had
is
Sherry
belief
come down there,
processing
and Sherry
and
said when I walked in the house,
I
it was
used
a
to do
house her
manifestations
mother
all the
showed
time.
her.
I don't
Wow.
as much lately. I don't know why.
I mean, she
Probably
she
'cause I'm in
has
here and
I'm
for a
doing-
they
long
all do
time, she's had
manifestations.
these
I'm
vivid
doing
dreams.
better manifesting.
So
Wow.
I always like,
But I noticed when I, the thing is,
I was listening.
for a while I was doing a lot of meditation and doing
Yeah.
all this stuff.
But she's
And
really
if you're
cool.
doing
She's been my
spiritual
friend
work, it's
for-
really good, I think. But you have to have
Probably
joy in your
20
life. You
years.
have to
Yeah.
do things that you love. You know,
Yeah.
you can't. You know, and I was just
Yeah.
like meditating. You know.
Oh no.
So I mean,
yeah.
it was really good. But it's like the thing is, you have to be joyful. And
Yes.
my first
And you have to integrate all that stuff. you're
I
doing,
read
too.
so much. So the first, don't want to accuse it. The books that really resonated with me were the Abraham Hicks material, like Esther and Jerry Hicks.
Yeah,
I haven't
tons of
read it
people
yet,
in the
but
Sac
I
area
got
are into
one.
that.
So
It's
I
like
mean,
a Sacramento area thing.
I was drawn to it. So I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe it's because I'm Sacramento, but that was kind of. And now I watched. I have the videos because my brother got it from my mom for her birthday, and we just started looking at the videos, and it's very beautiful. But I don't, and I think it's very pure, and I love it. But I really resonate more now with Adama and this book. It's like for me, it's like a higher level.
Yeah, it
But I
is.
started out with them, and they're like, be in joy. So I remember people were having problems, and I'm like, I'm in joy, I'm going to do this. And they're like, well, how are you going to afford that? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm going to do it, you know, whatever. So things started happening for me because I was in joy.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
in
yeah.
joy. I was
It's true.
happy, and I was in joy. I was doing things that I love, and there was no resistance.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I've
Yeah.
got to get more into joy, so.
Well, but see, what happens is that was one stage for you.
And I'm grown.
And and you've grown, and so it's
He's
not
my new
always going to be
boyfriend.
the same. It changes. Yeah.
He's my new boyfriend. I'm like, Adama, you're very hot.
He is kind of hot.
You're taken, you have a brother.
Actually, there's
But
lots of them up
He's
there.
very hot.
Yeah, but yeah,
I
I
have
mean,
to go to Sweden.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, like,
yeah.
you just your experience changes, so
Yeah.
it's never going to be the same as what it was at a certain time. It always changes, and sometimes it's time to deal with what it feels bad, and sometimes it's time to like just be in joy or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And dancing is good. Having a good time.
Yes. Yes.
So thank you. Namaste.
So I wanted to share this. Remember when I said I'd read like 20 pages of the book, and then I have these thoughts.
Yeah.
Very nice to meet you.
Yes.
I'm Ella.
Ella.
Yes, nice meeting you, Ella.
It's Gabriella, which is Brazilian, by the way. It's a Brazilian, common Brazilian name.
Oh, your
I
mom
told my
was
parents.
like,
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, Mom, why did you name me that? She goes, well, I just really like the name.
is she an indigo child too? Your
I
mom?
don't know what she is. She's my daughter. I don't know. Yeah, she's probably more indigo because she's a rebel.
Because
She's like, she would watch the movie. I'm like, no.
the blue flame thing. I
She's
think is,
she's a rebel. She's
Yeah.
like, I want everybody to know what's going on and what they're doing. I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
that's
Mom.
right. That's
I'm
how
like,
I am
no,
too.
Mom. Let's just be peaceful. Let's not look at that. She's like, no, I want them to know. Why don't you want them to know? I'm like, because they're different. And my mom, she's like, did you see what happened? Did you? And I'm like, no. And so she's like, I can't talk to you about anything. I'm like, yes, I can. So yeah, she's very rebellious, but she's sweet. She's very pure. And
Yeah.
she's very loving. I mean, she does aesthetics now, non-surgical, but she did that. She's been doing that for 12 years, but she has been a pediatrician for 30 years. I mean, she's been self-serving, Sacramento, public, poor community, everyone, people that people don't see. So she's, been in service for a long, long time. So I like my little daughter. She's cute. It's weird. It's weird having a mom that's your daughter. So she's sweet.
Yeah, but
she's sweet.
I understand.
She's a rebel. And she's like, I think she has Indian things going back to like a Pocahontas, whatever. She has the thing. But yeah, she's very nice. But we didn't get along when I was a teenager.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of normal. I mean, if you always get along with your
Yeah.
family, I think it would be.
But she's pure, and I picked out the book for her, and I picked out the 7 Sacred Flames. I was drawn to it, and it was a used bookstore. It's next to the Soul Connection. I don't know, it was used.
Yeah, that's where we were.
It was right there.
That's where we got our Telos book. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And so I was just looking, and it was like,
This the same weekend too.
The same
We were
weekend, we
there.
could have seen
That's
each other.
crazy.
Yeah, we were there the same
Wow.
weekend. So maybe we're supposed. Maybe they're trying to get us to meet or something. I don't
Wow.
know.
No.
Interesting. Yeah.
Well, I just ordered this on Amazon, and when I opened it, it's told me I said, it's too pretty to read.
It's she's like, it's pretty. It's got a
Can't open it. It's too pretty.
It's really pretty.
Yeah, see, that's the
Yeah, I love it.
thing,
I was like,
and it goes like, but does it have the information in it? Yes, it do.
Yeah,
Because
normally
it's like useful stuff in there.
I know, like normally, like I just took my nails. Normally, I've got like little gold glitters. I always send things like glitters that people are like, I'm like, it's pretty, it sparkles. Look at it, you know.
Yeah.
So,
That's
anyway,
great, though. It's good that you're enjoying it.
have a beautiful evening.
Yes.
Thank you.
That was fun.
Anyway, Jason likes me now. We used to play
Really?
games. Yeah, we used to play games. But now he's so into, he wants to know everything that he wants to do.
Really? Because I was sitting here when I'm doing my winter one, he was thinking about all this
No,
stuff.
no, he was. He's
Which
just
one is
in-
that?
He's just in
The
a lot of
guy
pain.
In the front?
who was kind of
Yeah, they're friends
sick.
of mine.
Guy who's kind of sick looking.
He,
I didn't see the front of him. He,
Yeah.
Oh,
he
yeah.
kept, they kept
He's,
kind of lovey-dovey in the front there.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's to
Look
help,
at him in the front.
but I think
Some
that's,
support, probably. For,
I think that's to ease his pain, because he's in a tremendous amount of pain.
Oh, wow.
He was such an ass. I mean, they have 5. They
How
have,
do you know him?
Well, I worked with her.
Okay.
I was working for the California Dental Association as a temp for a year almost, and when she got hired on, she's actually in a different department, but her cube was right next to me, and no one would accept her
Oh, wow.
for some reason. And you know, I'm always for the underdog anyway, so.
yeah.
So I said, well, hell, if they won't have lunch with you, come have lunch with us, lowly people, you know.
Yeah.
And so she started having lunch with us, and then she started golfing with me. She's my golfing buddy, but now she hurt her shoulder, so she can't golf.
Did you teach
Oh,
her to
dear.
golf too?
No, she taught me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I'm a terrible golfer, but she's been teaching me. And she has a lot of patience with me, and I always learn stuff from her. I'm kind of bummed that her shoulder's bad. But,
Yeah.
but her husband, I mean, they've been together for 10 years. They've only been married for a couple. But he has 2 boys and a girl. And the oldest one they sent to live with his mother because he was just totally out of control. And they almost got divorced. So they have her 2 girls and his daughter and son now, and they all live together. But we couldn't even golf for 9 holes, and he'd call like 4 times, and he was so
Oh, gosh.
needy. He just
Such
drove
an
me. We
energy.
couldn't go to
That's
lunch
what
without
she's
him calling or
such an
texting, and
energy.
it's like, oh Jesus, come on, you know. And maybe it's
So
because
this is what that was about then, too, is he couldn't even keep his hands off her.
well, I
that-
think now
that
it's
same
pain
thing.
because he's changed so much.
Mm-hmm.
He was
He's
in the,
obviously going to change more too.
oh yeah.
So,
He was in the service, and he had a back injury, but now his spine is degenerating, and because this has just been in the last 6 months.
Wow.
I mean, he was playing golf, he was doing really good,
Wow.
and he's.
he had a healing crisis,
Yeah.
so we call it.
So he's totally changed. I mean, I really like him now. He's a nice
Wow.
person, and I hadn't seen him for a long time, but they just bought this house. So she had invited me over. You know, she says, well, I can't golf right now, but come on over and we'll go to lunch. And so I got there, and he was actually in the street, walking across the street, and I was looking at the house, and we're trying to find the house because I've never been there. And I see this guy with a cane, and he's out
Oh, my
bent
gosh.
over.
So he looked totally
And-
different to you.
Yeah, and he waved at me, and I waved because he was in the street. I just wanted to wave him, you know.
Yeah, I see
And-
you. I won't run you over.
And actually, their mailbox is across the street, and he just says, "Hey, Jan," he says, "How you doing?" And he says, "Becky's on her way. She just went to Denials, and she's gonna be here in a few minutes." And I said, "Oh, okay." I says, "God, how you doing?" And she said you were having problems, but he said, "Oh yeah," and he's just in so much pain. I mean,
Wow.
he can't sit, he can't stand. He's in a tremendous amount of pain. And they said he was
This wake up call.
10% disabled.
10%.
So he was just at the doctor
10%.
today, and they
That's
tried to,
pretty disabled to me.
yeah. So they're trying to get him. Well, they got his EDD disability extended for long enough for his VA maybe to kick in and Social Security. But he's making good money, and they were doing really, really well and all this stuff. And
Good path going there.
and but now he's turned into this super nice guy. I mean, he's fun to
Yeah.
talk to.
Mm-hmm.
He's way more mature than he
Here's
was.
why people get sick.
And I was really kind of touched that they came, because I knew I had invited them, but because she had just texted me today, and she said, "God, we got to get together. I know we can't golf, but I miss you." And so I told her we were teaching this class tonight, and
So he believes all this?
yeah, I had talked to him
I didn't
before.
think he did.
Yeah.
I always find the people that don't believe what I'm saying, because it's either my low self-esteem or it's just like
Well, because they want
the
to
way
know
I
more.
work. Oh, really?
Yes, they really want to know way more.
Wow, that's not what I.
Yeah.
Because him and this Asian girl right here.
Well, yeah,
Was she just
She was
She
with
was
him.
going like this and checking her phone. And
Well, she was with him.
right,
Those
she
two,
came because
yeah.
of him. No, she was with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy was super other dimension. That guy had all sorts of stuff going on.
I was wondering. I kind of.
I was like, oh, that guy's right into it, and then
Yeah. She. So it's Jason. This is Jason and Rebecca. This.
cool,
Yeah.
awesome.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this other kid, I thought he was gonna be.
Guy?
I thought he was gonna be a non-believer too. At
Something
first.
was weird with him. I couldn't tell.
He had a spiritual awakening 2 weeks ago.
He kept.
he had
looking
tried
at
to
his
commit suicide.
hands and feeling with his hands, and then
He had tried to commit
he's going
suicide.
like this, and
That's
he's
why
going
he's
like
got
this.
stigmata.
That's what she said, and I didn't ever know what that was, but they explained it to
So
me.
yeah, it sometimes
So,
happens.
Like a
it's
Jesus
just
on
weird
the
phenomenon.
cross thing.
It has to do with chakra.